Hey guys, J-Man here in the Phantom Zone. Thank you for joining me on a special live stream Saturday night. Now, we used to do streams on Saturday nights. We kind of got away from it. We might bring it back in this new year. We'll see how it goes. But before we get into it and I introduce my special guest, we're going to just a couple of quick updates. So I know that there shows that there's a stream scheduled for Tuesday. That's the Tuesday night wrestling stream that Steve and I do for the Women of Wrestling. That's actually going to be moved to Wednesday night. So something came up for Tuesday. So I haven't had a chance to reschedule that, but I am going to reschedule that. This Thursday coming up, Sean and I are going to be back doing the Days of High Adventure. We're going to be talking about the legend of Tarzan with Scott Tracy Griffin, who wrote the book. He wrote 2 books on Tarzan. So when you say, oh, this is the guy who literally wrote the book. Well, he literally wrote the book on Tarzan films. So he's going to be joining us this Thursday. I'm super looking forward to that because I kind of like The Legend of Tarzan. Now, I haven't talked to Sean or Scott really about this movie. So if Scott comes on and says this movie's trash, I'm just going to be like, oh no. So I'll have to let him kind of like tell me if he thinks it's good or not. I really like The Legend of Tarzan. I thought it was kind of cool. It was fun, but we're gonna deep dive into it. And I'm gonna rewatch it again. I haven't watched it since it's come out, so we'll see how that goes. And I think that's it for upcoming. Sean and I are going to do Fire and Ice. I think that's going to be our next one after Tarzan. So Fire and Ice is coming. And also Versus is coming back. I think the first Versus of the new year is going to be the Thomas Jane Punisher movie versus Punisher Warzone. So we're not going to talk about the Dolph Lundgren movie because that's obviously the best one. We're going to talk about the other 2 Punisher. I can see my my guests are laughing in the background, but this is why I said this before they came on, so they have no chance to argue against it, because the Dolph Lundgren movie is clearly the best Punisher movie. All right, so let's bring in our regular. Hey, Sean.
I am regular.
Regular. So, Sean, you're actually doing something with your channel instead of letting it collect dust. So,
yes, I'm actually posting every now and again. So yeah, I just posted a Spider-Man thing. I got some other comic look-throughs, and I plan to do a lot more this year until I get bored with it. So
I'll give you a troll too.
Oh my god!
My channel has got to be almost 15 years old at this point, but
no, it's not. You started after me. I'm 10 years old. I'm 10 years old on YouTube.
I think 2009 was my first video, maybe. I don't know.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Well, I did post a link to the link to your channel is in every video that I do, whether it's a live stream or not. But I did post it in the chat. And now let me introduce my special guest. I don't have an intro for you, dude. What can I give you that's like a nice, how about, I don't know if you like this movie, but I'm going to give you, this is a really good, cool intro.
Warrior, come on to play!
Chris, how's it going, man?
Good. I got no problem with the Warriors.
Yeah. Oh, I love the Warriors. You can see right there, my little Warriors shelf.
And that actor that was just in that scene went on to be one of the primary villains in The Crow, Brendan Lee's Crow. You know, like he's quite a distinguished actor.
Favorite holiday.
Thanks for having me, though.
Yes. So this came about through a random encounter by a fan who's like, he saw Sean and I at a show. He's like, "Oh, J-Man, Sean, oh my God." He goes, "You guys know Chris?" I was like, well, yes and no. Like unofficially, we kind of know him because he's around and we chat.
We're famous.
Yeah,
you are famous. You got recognized. And he's like, "Well, where's Chris?" I was like, "No." I said, "We just happened to do this."
Well, because all Canadian YouTubers run around together, I presume, right? Like
that it is. Yeah, that we do. We all hang out.
Yeah.
All right.
But no, I hold on. I just heard Sean say he's been in this since 2009.
Well, yeah. I mean, I had a channel, but it's not like a professional thing.
Right.
I wasn't really growing it. I was just like putting stuff on there.
Okay.
The thing is, you have a day job, and it's like,
oh yeah,
it sort of like falls by the wayside for like a good 10
Right.
years, and then
unless you're Mr. Beast, yes, there's no real money to be made. And Jay, you said you've been doing this how long?
10 years.
Okay, so I just crossed over 2 years in August, so I'm presuming I'm the toddler then of the bunch, and you got.
But you're
But you
killing
worked at it very
It's like-
hard, and now it's like over 1,000 subscribers, right?
You're over
Yeah.
1,000. You just got your 1,000 just
Yeah.
the other day, really, like just
Yeah.
this week, right?
It was inspirational. I was like, you know what? Maybe I should make a crack at
That
that.
was that's what she shot. I gotta get to it here.
Yeah.
But
It
the
got
thing
me
is,
into
well,
And J-Man, you're almost there. So
Yes,
I'm getting there.
yes.
I'm getting there.
The road to 1K. Good for
Yeah.
you, man.
I'm too argument. Like I will fight people. That's the thing. Like Chris is a very nice person. I'm like kind of a douche. Like I'll so I'll gain 10 and
No,
lose
no.
10.
Like, no, I have no problem going on a rant either, but I generally do that on other people's channels.
I feel free. I told
Yeah.
listen that I used to do open chats. I put the
Yeah.
link to StreamYard in the chat.
Yeah.
I'm like, come in and let's fight it out. And I'll fight with people on Facebook and send them the link saying, come and fight me on your I love fighting, and as you know, I buy everything. I had about 4,000 DVDs and Blu-rays.
Okay.
I sold 1,000. Now I'm at 3,000, but I own everything. So I'm like, I hated this movie. They're like, oh, you're just a hater. I'm like, really? I said, I bought the movie though. Did you buy it? And they're like, no, I didn't buy it. Right. So I'm like, hey, so I'm going to say hello to the chat, and then Chris, I'll let you talk about your channel a bit. Now, guys, I did post a link and I've pinned it for Chris's channel. So make sure he's already over 1,000, but we got it. You got to get, now it's the road to 2,000. So we got to get the 2,000.
baby steps, yeah.
Baby steps. I'll say hello to Lord Thoth. I got something for you, buddy. I got Avon Lives. That's for LT. And the other thing he likes to say is long live the Legion. So there you go. I kept these aside for you. Because I knew you're gonna be on there. So I want to make sure you got your Avon and your LT. Arkham, what's going on, dude? So Arkham, Arkham's been messaging me privately. He's been reading comics like crazy. He's a little bit of a Batman fan, and what I mean by that is what I mean by that is if the words Bat and Man appear on anything, he will purchase it. It doesn't matter if it's awesome or if it is trash, he will still.
Yes.
He saw the Batman movie 20 times. And that's a 3-hour movie. 20 times 3. I'm not even going to do the math because that's a lot. That's a lot of times. I think I've seen it 3 times. You might argue that's 3 too many. I might argue it's 3 too many for myself because I kind of didn't like that movie, but I keep watching it because I'm a sucker.
Yeah.
And Sean, how many times have you watched the Batman?
The Batman once, but
Wow.
yeah, I know.
Shocking.
I'm not a big fan of it. I'll watch it again, but
Oh wow.
but like I hate BVS, and I've seen that like 10 times.
Yeah.
I like hate watched it 10 times. I
Oh
don't
my
know.
gosh.
I can't believe
Okay.
they made that film anyway.
Oh, we're not starting
Okay,
up
okay,
arguments
yeah.
already. We're not getting into that. I don't like BVS either, but I'm not starting arguments with the chat right now. All right, Chris, let me give you the solo layout here and
Sure.
tell everyone about your channel.
Whoa, like no, I thought you were just gonna like push me
No, yeah,
over
oh,
to the
yeah,
side.
no, no,
Holy
let's
cow!
go.
No,
Let's
no.
finish
No, you don't need to make me solo. That's okay.
All right, I'll do
Okay.
hold on.
Yeah. You were kidding me.
I'm gonna do the solo layout. I like that better.
Well, my name is Chris. My YouTube channel is The Comic Vet. I've been doing this since, a couple Augusts ago. I just rolled over 1,000 subscribers, basically New Year's Eve, I believe. And my channel, I do a lot of unboxings, a lot of openings. Every Wednesday, I host a new comic book day hangout called Show Us What You Got, where it's an open invitation to anyone who participates in New Comic Book Day or stuff that people just recently picked up, whether it's a dollar bin find or something that's a grail. The invitation is always there to come on and show us basically what you got. And it's a pretty regular thing. Like I said, there hasn't been a Wednesday in recent memory that I haven't missed it. I'm also a guest host on an award-winning show, Only Slabs, that happens every Saturday at 2:30 Eastern Time on Rob's Fat Stacks of Comics YouTube channel. Sunday nights, I'm on Legion of Comics for At Week's End, where we take a spoiler look back at everything pop culture, including comic books and films and TV shows that have happened that past week. Every Sunday, I release a show called Two Cool Guys, Two Hot Picks, where myself and Marc, we're both two second-generation comic book readers, and we spotlight one book that we think that you may want to consider picking up for this upcoming New Comic Book Day. And in amongst that, I generally always try to say yes to anyone who invites me on to their YouTube channel if they want to talk comics or the history of comics, or as far back as the golden age, atomic age, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and of course my favorite time was the 80s when it comes to comic book reading, and of course modern stuff as well. And that's about it. I just finished an amazing Spider-Man run from 1 to 50, and now I'm broke. But that's
wow.
That's a little bit about me and my YouTube channel.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I like the Wednesday shows. What you got? So are you saying you like invite anybody to come on and show?
Yeah, it's like I said, it's an open invitation. All people have to do is just reach out to me on Instagram. My comic handle is _comic_vet on Instagram, and just ask if you're interested in coming on at 7 p.m. Eastern Wednesdays, and I'll send you the link. Now, I used to do the open invitation as well until I had a few a few where I'm like, you need to ask, and then you can come on. So it's an open invitation that way.
Oh, awesome. Okay, so Instagram, I've got you. How do I copy on? Or do you want to put it in the chat, and I'll I can put it up there as well. But it is through your website. I've got the link to your channel.
Okay.
So they can just go to the channel. And I've also included your link to your channel, and I've got a list. So what I do is I've got a list of people that I like and that I try to watch all the time. And what I've done is I've put that into the description of all my videos. So like Sean's in there, my buddy Steve. So I've got you in there as well.
That's kind of you. Thank you.
Do you know the Comic University Bill? Do you know Bill from Comic?
Yes, he used to do stuff right out of Gotham Central, I believe. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah. I try to every now and then, if there's a particular arc or something that I'm struggling with, I'll go and watch what he has to say about it, because he does reviews on almost everything that gets released. And the Professor, right? Is that what we're talking about? Yeah. And I enjoy his content quite a bit.
Yeah, he's awesome. So actually, I've been on his show. So what happened with that one? I slithered my way. He was at the shop once, and I was like, Professor Bill. So we started talking, right? And then he's like, Jay, man, he's like, come on with me. So I came on a few times and introduced some of the comics with me, and then things happen, and he doesn't do it every week anymore. So we just talk privately here and there. I've been on his thing. I need to get him on here. We need to do. I'm subscribed to Rob. I've subscribed to Rob's Fat Stacks. I put the description. I put the link for his thing too. There's a few other guys on there that I wanted to subscribe, and for some reason I couldn't. I don't know if it's just like my phone wasn't working. It's like, you got to catch me when I'm watching. You know what I mean? That's why I constantly try to remind people, like, go to the chat, because it's like I'll forget.
Yes.
So that's pretty cool. And those guys, like the guys on Chris's channel, are like the serious guys. Like I come on, I'm like, oh, I bought like 3 comics. It's like Spawn and Batman or something. These guys are like, it's like, whoa! I'm like, wait a minute. What? And some guys, that guy last week, it's like, oh, this is next week's books. It's like, okay, like what's going on?
That happened. That doesn't happen all the time, right? DC every so often sends a couple weeks at a time, and sometimes they squirrel their way out onto the shelves, and just some people are just lucky enough to get the early copies before they actually supposed to be released.
I mean, I'll get it the day before, whenever they get it to start kind of putting it on the shelf or whatever. So like I won't say the name just in case they might get in trouble, but my shop will give it to me. Like, let's say Tuesday, I'll go in on a Tuesday and I'll get it on the Tuesday. right?
Right.
Instead of the Wednesday or whatever, right? But like DC comes out on Tuesdays anyways, I think officially now, right? So it's not Arkham. Yeah, you buy everything.
Yes,
What?
yeah.
This guy, Arkham's about 20 years old, and
Yeah.
he buys every
Batman
thing. It's the passion for Batman is,
and it's tough because DC publishes like 75% of their publishing is Batman. So.
It's not even close, Sean. You hit the nail on the head. It's just, or they'll have the Batman variant,
Right.
Yeah, Batman's in this comic. No, he's not. No, he's on the cover.
That's like World's
the Batmobile
Finest.
Goes by in the background.
Yeah, World's Finest. It's like Batman, Superman on the cover. It's like, are you in this comic? It's like the old ones.
Right.
The old ones, yeah.
The old ones. Yeah. It's like, are you guys even in this? Like, where are you? So I wanted to just do a very casual, just like how we're doing now, talking about maybe some of the stuff that you liked in 2022. It doesn't have to be specifically comic related,
absolutely.
But also, if there's anything you're looking forward to in 2023, I tried to run around my room, and I'm this is how dumb I am. Like right after I proposed this, I decided to file everything in comic boxes. I thought, why did I do that? I don't know if this was on Friday, and I don't know what possessed me to do this. Because usually everything's on the floor here. Like when I do, it was just everywhere. I thought, okay, I'm out of my mind now. And then I just 5 minutes before, I'm like, I should probably find some stuff. So I ran around trying to grab things. And I ended up finding more toy related stuff than I did because comics. And then I stacked everything up. So what do you know, Chris, do you know Near Mint Condition? Have you heard of Near Mint Condition?
The comic shop? Or
it's a channel.
The channel? No, I don't think so. That doesn't ring a bell.
They're pretty good. And I just checked. I joined in March 2012, and Sean, you joined YouTube in August 2012.
Okay.
So yeah, it's been 10 years. But no, Near Mint Condition was one of my earlier subscribers, and they started a channel, and they've got like 20,000 subscribers. Like they skyrocketed.
How did I not know about 20,000?
Yeah, something like that. And I'm like, dude, like what happened? So the guy's like, I don't know, they got super popular. So we kept in touch, and he was like, he wanted me to contribute some of my favorites. So I stole this idea from them is what I'm sorry. What am I saying? 20,000. They have 78,000 subscribers.
Oh my God.
Still.
Yeah. 78,000.
Let me take a look at that channel and see what they're doing.
So, well, the thing is that they don't fight everybody like I do, and they don't come on and say Zack Snyder sucks and then everyone hates them. But I've seen every Zack Snyder movie in the theater, and
you're a big Zack Snyder fan. You just
I'm a super fan. I have even the movies I don't like, I still buy them.
Yeah.
Whatever. I saw 300 3 times in the theater. I saw 300 twice in a row. I saw it Friday night, woke up and went Saturday morning. It's like,
I think 300 pound for pound is his best action film.
Yeah. I'm
not going to say it's his best film, but pound for action film, 300 is where it's at. That was a game changer as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And accurate to the source material as well. Frank Miller's excellent story.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they used a script. They just followed the book.
Yeah. Just let's mimic the cinematography with this panel.
This is our storyboard.
It is the storyboard.
Yes.
Watchmen's pretty close to the ending. Obviously, some people like it.
It's different.
Don't. It's different. I don't mind that ending. I know there's some people that don't like it. We're not going to. Okay, that's a stream.
Oh yeah.
I've never been a big fan of the comic ending. Dun dun dun.
Yeah. Oh, Sean, that was a fail, buddy. You're going to lose. Okay, Sean has just lost 15 subscribers. That is so weird. I don't know what everyone on here.
No, I have a reason, but I'm not gonna say it.
Well, I don't want to hear the reason because Watchmen's a masterpiece. Okay, you're gonna tell me the reason privately, and if I deem it okay, I'll put it on now.
The one thing I think we can agree on with Watchmen is the casting of Jackie Earle Haley. Was incredible. Talking about hitting the nail on the head when it comes to the perfect actor for the perfect character, right?
Perfect. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Oh, your favorite? Okay, so Arkham's got a comic thing. A DC Detective Comics. Yeah, so I'm like 5 behind on Detective Comics. Failsafe. I didn't read Batman. Oh yeah, Arkham, you've been bugging me to read Batman. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Nightwing's pretty good.
So you haven't read Zdarsky's run on Batman?
No, but I've met Chip Zdarsky. Literally came to the library here.
Yes.
Right before he did Marvel 2-in-1, when he brought that back for a little bit, he had just started Spectacular Spider-Man, and I at that time he was already telling me, "Oh, Marvel 2-in-1 he's doing a 2-in-1." I don't know how far in he was in Spectacular. And he's literally at the library. They're like, "Oh, Chip Zdarsky's coming to my area," and I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, "Oh, he's right here." I walked across the street. I got pictures with him.
We may have been under the roof at the same time. So he did a speaking engagement as well, and he talked about Riverdale and sexy Jughead.
Yeah.
And then there was another scene, like my woman and I were sitting there, and he said, and I quote, about Batman, "Who would be interested in reading about a 1%er running around beating up poor people?" Flash forward 5 years later. Look who's at the helm of DC's franchise character, right? Yeah, I'll never forget that. He called Batman a 1%er that runs around beating up poor people, and I thought that was hilarious. Never mind the sexy Jughead thing; he was spot on for that too. But at that time, he just finished doing his excellent Howard the Duck limited series for Marvel as well. If you guys remember that, and then he was switching into the 2-in-1 as well. Yeah, that's what put Zdarsky on the map for me, was when he called out Batman, when he called out Jughead and everything, and now he's arguably the best writer in comics right now.
Well, the main reason is probably because he cares about the characters instead of presenting his own views on the world,
right?
Which is the main problem with a lot of the comics that people don't like. It's like a lot of these titles I used to collect because it was like action, fantasy, heroics. It was like, X-Men used to be a call to action. It'd be like, "Oh, what's going to happen in this one?" Now, my channel was mostly X-Men. About a year ago, I read every mutant book, reviewed every X-Men book, and I know you just had a guy on your channel just last week talking. He's like, "I get all the X books," and that was me. And I reviewed them all. Like,
sounds expensive.
Right, like X-Men, and then I started being like, I just read an entire book where they sat around talking at the Quiet Council, and I thought, what is this? Like, this is not my X-Men shelves that I have Dark Phoenix Saga issues and first appearance of it. It's like, what has happened? This is not action oriented anymore, and that's where I first started to be like, But Nightwing's pretty good action. I don't know. I wasn't into that War thing, but I do like. Now everyone's forgotten his identity, so that's kind of, maybe that'll be better. Deceased. Yeah, I didn't read that. Vampires. I think I got issue 1 of that. Dark Crisis. Did you guys finish Dark Crisis? I have not finished it. Did anyone?
No, I tapped out.
Tapped out.
I'll get the big thing.
I got through it. I enjoyed it for what it was. I get now they're going to put heavy importance on Nightwing now moving forward with the new DC universe, and I'm okay with that because Nightwing, over the last, say, 2 years, pound for pound, outside of the Suicide Squad after coming out of Infinite Frontier, Nightwing has been the most constantly well-written and well-illustrated comic book that DC's been putting out. That's not an Elseworld story or a Black Label. Right. But yeah, when you're ready to talk about what your favorite stuff is, you let me know.
So there's probably so what's he saying? There's problems with, but it's not as worse as Future State. I bought all of Future State, every single issue. Some of it was okay, some of it was like I don't know. I didn't mind Rebirth. If we go back, like New 52, I was like, some of it was okay. Again, some of it was okay. Some of it.
Yeah, but the cool thing about 52 is it gave us the Court of Owls, which I felt was the best, was awesome. Which was the best story arc outside of, say, the Swamp Thing stuff that was happening there, across the board.
Yeah. So again, some Court of Owls is awesome.
Yes.
And
New 52 was
that okay? I'm so confused. That was Animal Man, right? That restarted in New 52. Hey Josh, how's it going, dude? I like the Joker comic. That was Joker's pregnant. We're not. I don't even know.
Is it a dream or something? Or
I don't know.
I haven't read it yet.
I thought it was Zatanna just pulling a cruel joke.
It's a Zatanna joke. Yeah. I don't. You know what? I'll tell you something about. You know what? There's something that I talked about a couple of streams ago, which was fake rage. where people are really angry about something. I'm like, I know, but are you reading this title? Like,
Yeah.
right? Like, it's like
I hear
I-
about something. It's like, you killed Spider-Man. It's like,
It's
okay,
like-
but are you reading Spider-Man enough to be angry about this?
Are you aware that wasn't 616 Spider-Man that introduced
Yeah.
Miles
Right.
Morales? Or fake rage is, you're absolutely correct. Right now the Joker is
Right.
the fake rage, where 6 months ago it was Jonathan Kent and
Yes,
the
that was-
whole
yeah.
the whole sexual identity thing.
Right.
And like it's just each one of the publishers, pick their poison at whatever moment where they're just making headlines. And so now Joker the man who forgot to laugh, or whatever it's called
I
right
don't
now.
remember what it's
Pardon me.
called, yeah.
That book will go to a second, and third, and fourth printing just because these people want to see what's up, but they won't pick up the next issue.
Right. They won't be right. So I was collecting Kal-El, or Son
Right.
of Kal-El.
Yep.
And then everyone's upset. And my thing was that where's the story going? It has less to do with the look. They're going to make moves to get people talking, and everyone bought that book. And then the next issue, it's back to no one reading it again. So it's like it succeeded in its thing. It succeeded in getting people to buy it.
It's the same thing as like when Robin came out. Was it Tim Drake's Robin that came out a couple years ago?
Right.
Whatever it was.
It's
just people get rage and like, oh my god, these lifelong characters, and I'm not used to it. But yeah, Sean's perfectly right. Oh my god, they killed Spider-Man. Are you aware it's not the Peter Parker you know?
Well, even we remember. We're old enough to remember.
I
Death
was
of
just
Superman,
gonna say
right?
no.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was gonna go back and say Death of Robin.
Death of Robin's the other
Death
one,
in the
because
Family.
like that made headlines as well, but it wasn't what.
But they showed a picture of my buddy who I met and I love, my buddy from the Adam West series, Burt Ward. They showed a picture of that. It's like, he's dead. I'm like, no, he's not. He's been Nightwing.
It's not
for
even
decades.
Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
And the fans called the 1-800 number, 1-900, and they killed
they
them.
killed him. They killed him. I know. And right. But that was big news. I remember that big news. But no, sorry, Son. You're saying
No, I was gonna say with Death of, like Superman, it was the Superman, but like as a comic reader, I knew what was up. I'm not stupid, right? It's like, plus they continued the comic called Superman.
He's back.
So I was like, well, I mean, if he's dead, why is it still called
dead.
Superman? Like, gee, I wonder if he's coming. But like that was so like we were all teenagers, right? Like I was.
Yes.
And I was in swim class at one point, and my swim coach was like talking about the death of Superman. And all that. And like, they're killing him and all that. And then like my teachers would talk about it. Everyone is talking about it. And I was like, guys, he's not going to be dead for long. It's just a thing, right? It's just a story, you know?
Louise Simonson said herself, like, we're running out of ideas. Let's just kill him.
Yeah.
She said it for years before they pulled the trigger. Like, before that, the biggest, like, they killed Supergirl and they killed the Flash in the original
Crisis.
the original Crisis.
Yeah.
And that didn't make big news. And Barry Allen stayed dead for a long time. A long time.
Yeah.
And that's what people, I can remember kids that were I think I was 14 or 15 when they killed Superman. And they were like, look, Barry Allen's been dead for 10 years at this point.
Right.
5 to 10 years. And I was like, they might be on to something here, but like, who are they going to replace? And then out came, the world of new Superman, and that belly flopped. They're like, well, we might as well bring Kal-El back. And sure enough, they brought him back with a mullet and, revamped them to number one, and off they went again.
Billy Ray Cyrus, Superman.
Yes, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I have the toy. They came out with a Total Justice variant with him with the longer hair. Oh, there's two. I had both figures, the short hair and the long hair, and I cannot find either of them, which I'm very upset over.
Yes.
My Superman stuff is right there, and I need to add that too. But I'm trying to look at. Did you guys like? I pulled this out because it was handy. Did you guys get the Deadly Duo? The Marc Silvestri Batman. Did you guys like? I mean, so far it's kind of interesting.
I picked up the first issue. It wasn't for me. I read it and I'm like, this is not. I thought it was a cash grab, because I know Tynan's Joker run did pretty well, and if you want to sell a DC book, well, you slap the logo on it and you go from there, and I thought, okay. It's pretty predictable so far. Like, they're both being forced in a corner. Neither one of them want to be into.
Right.
And we'll go from there. I didn't pick up the second one. If I can get the trade for a $5 or $10 pickup at a con or something, I will pick it up because I enjoy Silvestri.
That's the only reason I got it.
And that's just it. You know, you're tugging on my heartstrings from when I was a kid, right? And but yeah, it was. I'd give it a solid C. You know, but yeah,
I don't think I reviewed this one.
But to me, that's not the worst Batman story that we saw last year. I think A Dark Knight comes in at that position. The Jock story, the Jock written and illustrated story, and it was such a fantastic idea, and like this, like the whole arc, the idea sounds terrific, but it just failed. And I thought it was beautiful to look at, but come on, like it was a great idea, just poor in its execution, and the timing, or pardon me, the pacing was way off. But that's now, there was many Batman stories I did enjoy, but that's the one I thought was like, I just wasted my money, and it's an oversized super black label. It's
expensive.
It's a $10 book.
Yeah, I think that a lot of our friends in the chat here, and I appreciate everybody being here. I think they're all in America, so their books are a lot less. Like when I'm buying something, it's like, well, except for Spawn, which I love all the Spawn titles. They're $2.99. It's the best value. You get
it down,
well, actually, so I have Spawn #1, right? Spawn #1 was $225, I think, or $250,
and it was expensive for its day.
And
yes,
it remained
very expensive.
It was expensive for that time, but now, if you think if it was $225 or whatever, it was $225 or $250, I don't feel like getting it. It's behind Poison Ivy. Now comics are like, well, they're $5 depending on what brand, right? Some of them are $4 or $5, which translates to about $6 for us here. And it's like Spawn is $2.99. So how is that? Look, and they've got the cardstock covers. Like, how is that happening? Right? That sounds like a bunch of crap. If Todd McFarlane can keep all of his Spawn books $2.99, and look, I love Image. Yeah, I review Spawn every week. I love Image. Okay, but look, it ain't Marvel or DC in terms of how big they are. So how the hell is that happening? And there's a guy at the shop last, or whatever it was, Tuesday, who's like literally looking up. He's like, you know what? These books, half of them are bent on the site. Now, I'm not a condition person. I pick up the first copy. I'm going to read it. I don't care. If I'm buying for a condition, then I'm going to go a different route. I'm not going to go to the shop and expect it to be all perfect or whatever. It doesn't matter. I don't want someone to bend I don't bend it, but I don't read it like it's like, like a manuscript from Egypt or something. But I don't want it to be like messed up right away. And all the Marvel books, they all have that bend in the side. You're like, guys, seriously, like this is $5 US. It's like $6-7 Canadian. You guys need to do some quality on this. Why is Spawn kicking your ass in quality and price? Like that's a bit
He
shady.
might be offsetting it with the toy sales. I don't know because he has other businesses. So the way Image was set up was like you have your own studio and you do stuff out of the imprint.
And let's be honest, Todd has had his hand in Spawn since about issue 303, 304. It's been Rory McConville, who's been at the helm for quite a while now. And like they've switched out artists. I remember Ken Lashley did a couple of issues as well. But Todd's known for flipping artists around when he's just doing the writing for Spawn or whatever. But yeah, this is the first time I can think of in quite a while where Todd's been away from Spawn so much. Now I know he's got King Spawn and Gunslinger going on as well, and that one he's got his hands more in than the franchise Spawn character itself. But yeah, it's like I'm enjoying Spawn, but I do miss the Todd McFarlane part where it's purely good versus evil and Spawn's dead in the middle, choosing neither side, God versus Satan. And, but yeah, it Spawn's on my pull. And it's A, because I got to support a Canadian. B, I'm enjoying $2.99.
Yes.
And 3, Image will always have that special place in my heart just because I was there since day one. Now, for me, it was the Savage Dragon that hooked me in.
I got
yeah. And Eric Larson's first 50 issues, he could do no wrong. We saw him become a cop with Chicago, then walk away from the badge, and then the whole idea of trying to discover his roots and the origin. I thought it was really good. Now, Savage Dragon is totally different today.
Yeah,
to be honest, right?
Yeah,
totally different today. But yeah, and a lot of those image styles, like Wildcats, Youngblood, like as far as I'm concerned, they could do no wrong. Like the Comics Court Authority wasn't a part of that, and even though the Comics Court Authority was still around back in those days, yeah, I was hook, line, and sinker. Even Keown's Pit, I picked that up and stuck around for a bit. And Sam Keith's offering the Max, and I don't like Sam Keith's artwork at all, but I enjoyed the Max for what it was worth as well. But yeah,
I bought. I guess we're all the same. Like I bought everything. I bought Wildstar. I bought Tribe. I bought all that stuff, man.
Do you want me to go? I'm gonna go pull the box out and just go through them all.
Yeah.
Like, boom, boom.
And Tribe was only like 2 issues, and then it continued.
I thought that too.
Company.
It's like, man.
And no, it was all that was another good one as well. Yeah.
X-Men Classic. Yeah, how's it going, Mod? Thanks for popping.
I think for 2022, my two favorites that stood out to me. I don't have the visual aids here, sorry, but like the Ablaze comics for Hour of the Dragon was awesome. So Hour of the Dragon is the Conan novelette. And what they would do is it's the comic, and the art was exquisite. It was like it looked like painterly. But on the back half of the comic is a reprint of the story up to the point they portray in the comic. So that was cool. And my other big discovery this year was the so-called Sit Comics, which is they started out as an online thing, and then they made a deal with Diamond Distributing, and so now and it's like 64-page comics that are like really low price. They're about $3. The art isn't great, but I was fascinated by the weird concepts. There's Blue Baron, which is like a kid that turns into a superhero from like the 1700s. So like he has the costume and everything, I'm
looking at it now. You remember? I remember.
I thought that was fun, and it's a good buy. And I love the like the Bronze Age kind of Silver Age look of the covers. They really pop out nowadays, right? So
this is it, Sean?
Yeah, it's Blue Bear. It's funny.
That's so good.
I thought it was refreshing. It's not really reinventing the wheel. It's just going back to a time when comics were fun, and you saw a cover and you want to discover it. You want to buy it just for that cover and see for yourself. I like that aspect of it.
Yeah, like remember this? I'm cheating because these are the. They're not the Treasury. What are they called? What's the two names? I'll never remember. I say Treasury Edition, but it's not like
tabloid sized.
Tabloid size, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
right.
Holy shit! What's this comic about? All this is going to happen. Nowadays, it's like I will show
it's
this.
Just poses.
It's like, oh look, there's Batman. Yeah, I know Batman's in it.
Yeah.
Right. Like obviously, Joker is not going to be the Sky. Right. So this is not representing what's happening.
They just try to make it like it's a cinematic cover.
Right, and I'm trying to see if there's any other ones around here.
I see Mod DJ 8000. The thing I didn't like about Sam Keith was his art style that he did with Batman. He made those, the pointy top of the cowl almost a foot long off the top of the head back in the 80s. Now, I did appreciate Sam Keith's The Max because then it was total freedom. Like there's an unknown character, and his art style lent really well to it. I just did not like his Batman.
I don't like it either. I'm gonna say I despise this Batman. Can I be strong? I hated this. I hate this look for Batman. But Max was wicked, and the cartoon was cool. I bought that,
and the storytelling was really good with it too.
Yeah, that was cool. I'm such an image guy, man. It's brutal. Like I'm on Rob Liefeld's everything. He's talked to me all the time. Like I go back and forth with him on his Facebook group and all that. I love Rob Liefeld. I don't care. I'm gonna let me check. Yep, I've just lost 4 subscribers. Damn.
His podcast is great because like he's a fan of the stuff, and that fandom is infectious, right? So right.
He has wonderful stories as well, and his Todd McFarlane impersonations are spot on.
Hey, but
let the buck go. Yeah. But it's funny because I saw something with the two of them in 2018, 2019, and he does the impression in front of Todd, and he doesn't care. Todd's like, this guy does the best impression of me. It's nice to see them like be friends now, So
yeah, they've had some troubled waters.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a look at. Let's take a look at Wolverine here to get some redemption here. Yeah, Wolverine looks pretty cool.
So yeah, so he gave that animalistic feel I felt back to Wolverine that was missing, because John Byrne really cleaned Wolverine up as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And then when Sam Keith, when you take the mask off, you have the wild Logan hair and the hairy arms, the way that I felt he was always supposed to be, especially during the Weapon X days and then the early yellow and blue suit days as well. So I appreciated those days. It's just I have a hard time letting go of Sam Keith's covers for Batman. Yeah.
Yeah, the Batman ones though, but Wolverine, yes. And again, not every artist is for every character.
Absolutely.
And you don't have to be. This is my thing now with, we're not going to get into the movies, but like it's like you don't have to always adapt everything, or you don't have to do everything. It's like some things, it's like maybe target audience is not a bad word. There's a target audience for certain things, and some people can do something better on this character and maybe they don't fit so well on another character. I don't know what to say. It's like, this is just the business that we're in, trying to make something for everybody. And it's like, it's not always going to work out that way. And sometimes it's it ends up being for nobody really. But even with the artists too, it's like, oh, like if you want to come onto a project, I think it used to be like, can we find the best person to work together? Like sometimes if you have artist writer and it's clicking, you're like, oh shit, this is clicking. And you're like, yeah, this is where it's at now. Right. And then sometimes you don't get that. And if you don't, and it hurts both, because look, art is important. This is one thing that the Image people got dinged for. They're like, well, these artists and all that's like, I know, but the art is still important and the story is important. You need to have both things working together. If it's just a good art book, then it's an art book. Like I can look at like, as you're saying with the deadly duo of Batman and Joker, it's like, it looks cool. And you're just like, yeah, this looks good, but is the storyline, do I care? It's okay, I guess, I don't know. But I'm just buying it because I like Marc Silvestri. That's like that. Okay. Belle, how's it going, man? Hey, how's it going? We've already you came at a good time, Belle, because we stopped. We're just talking about some comic books. We stopped trashing your boy. We started trashing him in the beginning, but we stopped now, so you're good. But yeah, like I don't mind buying for the art, but also if the story is good, then that's good. But then also some of these writers think that they're writing like some epic novel. Like I said this, I don't know when I said this a while ago. If Watchmen had come out today, it'd be 52 issues, right? Like, to tell the same story. And I'm like, what did I read? Days of Future Past is 2 comics.
Yeah, people forget
Stop
that.
It. Yeah. Stop it. It's 2 comics, right? Like I just read, coincidentally, John Byrne, I just reread Man of Steel. 6 issues. Like now that would have been like, I don't know, it would have been 2 years or something. Oh, we have to do a deep dive. It's like, yeah, I got it. I'm not stupid. I understand what's going on. Like you used to be, you picked up a comic when you were a kid, you picked it up for the art and the action. Let's face the facts. You didn't care. Right?
I'm guilty of it. If it had Arthur Adams on the cover, it was coming home with me.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. So there you go. And the thing is, it's like you bought it because it looked cool. Same with Image came out, and literally I thought all of these comics look cool, and I bought them all.
Yeah.
Maybe, and then I did become a bit of a douche later on when I would read them. I was like, oh, these aren't guys. I don't like these as much anymore. And I was one of those guys.
Trying to keep up with the schedule was tough too, but whatever.
Yeah, that's true. But then I went
issue
back
1
and I'm like,
in April, issue 2 in November. Image did not hit the ground running.
And then Spawn doing that, I think it was like 20 to 23, and then 21 and 22 came out later to screw around with Diamond.
Yeah, that do I have a fail for that? Hold on, do I have something? Gosh, I must have a fail in here.
You guys are taking me really far back now.
Yeah.
I got a fail. Oh, here. How about this one?
Make it better. Turn up the good. Turn down the suck. Turn down the suck knob.
G-Man loves Fubar.
You can't go out with Fubar.
Yeah, I've got Strange Brew.
Turn up the good.
Turn down the suck, guys. Like, stop it. Stop doing this.
And then the cameraman jumped in the river.
And he died. We have to get a new cameraman to finish the.
Oh man!
See, Fubar brings people together.
Yeah.
This is what people are not understanding.
Fubar introduced a whole bunch of people to Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
Run to the hills. Like. My
Dude,
girlfriend's like, I know this song because of this movie.
oh my god! I saw Iron Maiden 3 times. I saw Blaze. I saw Maiden twice. Then I saw Virtual 11 with Blaze doing replace. Then I saw Bruce Dickinson on his own.
Tattooed Millionaire tour.
Oh man, no.
Okay.
That was way early for me.
Yeah.
I got into Maiden late in the game, like way
Okay.
late. I'm talking like maybe 25 years. So what album had come out? Bruce had just done. I remember buying Accident of Birth when it came out, so I knew about it before then. Iron Maiden did what was before Virtual 11? I don't remember. I'm bad on the order of whatever. I had that album, maybe the one before. So now Tattooed Millionaire and Skunkworks and that, I was just like, I don't like, I didn't like to, I got them now, obviously, but back then I was like, I didn't know. But yeah, I got really heavy and then I just went back and listened to everything. But yeah, all that stuff was awesome. Yeah. Fubar 2 is a master. I have to say Fubar 2 is a masterpiece.
Right. What community were they in Alberta there that had the big wildfires a couple years ago?
Yes.
What was that? And he's the guy that was working. I forget the name of the community, but he said it's one cold, cruel bitch.
Yeah. And the guys, they're on the pipeline, and he heard about workers' comp, and he's like, "Wait, if I get injured, they're gonna pay me." So he's like surfing on the pipe.
Yeah.
Like, what is this guy doing?
Yeah.
And then the ducks he's like, "Well, there's ducks that get hurt in oil." He's like, "I don't care about ducks. What am I? Well, I don't need a duck."
What do you say? You're dating the town pump.
And he's like, remember, you know how some parties run out of beer? That's not gonna happen. There's a forklift.
Yes.
There's a forklift.
Yeah.
You should have put it in the car.
Yeah.
I can't do it. Oh my god. What's the most metal comic, right? I'm gonna say Gunslinger. I don't know.
Ghost
What-
Rider
what,
and
Death
Punisher
Dealer?
are really good right now too.
Yeah.
Psychologically, they're terrific.
Yeah, Death Dealer. I haven't.
Ooh.
Did you guys get Dawn Attack?
Yeah, I got it.
Did you get it, Sean? Did you
Yeah.
get that one?
It
No.
was just a few weeks ago. Yeah.
So it's basically the Frazetta piece with
Right.
the Viking woman, whatever. I don't like. It was called Dawn Attack, and it's the one where I'll find it on here so you can see.
Yeah, there's ships flying in the background and everything.
So the Frazetta has a couple of daughters, or at least. So this is the comic, but this is also the Frazetta painting.
Okay.
So they turned that painting into a comic book. I liked it, but like Frank Frazetta is like it's like Frazetta, Harryhausen. There's a few people who are kind of like the big heroes for me.
Mhm.
So it's like Frazetta. I like Boris as well. But like, so these guys all really.
But this
mean
was a
lot to me.
well-written first issue.
I thought it was really
because I thought it was
yeah.
just going to be boring on the inside, but oh no, it's pretty cool.
You watched my review. I told you it was going to be.
Yeah,
good.
yeah. Well,
You
I
didn't
saw
believe
that
me.
review and then I went out and got it that Wednesday.
Oh,
so-
okay. Let the comic shop owner know.
yeah. Yeah.
Was that in the Blaze book then?
Sorry, was that?
Who was the publisher for this then?
I don't know who the publisher is. It's who is it? Let's go to
I'll say that doesn't look like it would be an AWA.
Opus.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, my shop is they do get everything that comes out. So it was a free comic book. I don't think there was maybe there was like a preview or something, but like
It might have been, yeah.
their actual issues come out. And then issue 2 is coming out in February.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that does that count. Was that this
Oh,
year or was that last
My other
year?
favorite was probably Creep Show. I love Creep
Oh,
Show.
I like Creep Show.
The Creep Show TV series is awesome. I mean, the first 2 movies are awesome, but I thought the comic was great. It's like it because I love that old EC comic stuff. The only thing is when they stray away from that art style, but it's still the stories still work. So I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it was a surprise for me because I haven't really been keeping up with the comic shop news.
Right.
Like I get them and I look at the front and I'm like, that's cool. I didn't know it was coming out until I saw it on the rack.
I no. What are you talking? What a liar! I told you Creep Show was coming
Oh
out.
yeah, okay. You told me about it.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, man, this is insane!
Yeah.
I literally check every morning. I go
Yeah.
to the. Did you? Okay, I liked Creep Show. Did everyone get this?
I didn't get that yet, man.
Fantastic Four Full Circle. Let me see what these-
No, I did not. And by the way, that was Fort McMurray. That was
Fort McMurray.
the town in
Yes.
Fubar too. Yes.
Yeah.
This is Alex Ross's tribute to Fantastic
Fantastic
Four.
Four. Yeah. Cool.
So this does count as a 2022 release.
Yeah.
It's a simple story. It's just Alex Ross doing a tribute to Fantastic Four. So I don't even think this is technically Marvel. I don't even understand how this gets published.
Was it IDW then?
Man, my eyesight is garbage.
It might have
This
been
is terrible.
IDW.
Right. Yeah.
Why can I not see this?
On my channel, I refer to Alex Ross simply as the Master.
Yes.
He's head and shoulders above everyone at the moment, like by light years at this point.
Yeah.
You know, as much as Todd has a special place, Arthur Adams,
Yeah.
even new artists like John Jang and Jenny Frison, he's just by himself. Alex Ross is just by himself.
Yeah, he's awesome. But
What's
this
funny
entire
about him
thing is
is-
painted by him. It's so cool.
You know, what's funny about him is anyone with his talent could have done the same kind of thing, but he put that uniqueness. It's like, well, let me show you these characters the way I see them in a very realistic light, right?
Yes.
And it's like, and it just boom, just landed like lightning in the comic scene.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's incredible. Like, I mean, those first few, like Kingdom Come and
Oh my
and
goodness.
Marvels, I
Marvels.
think is my favorite one because
Yes.
I love seeing everything through that old guy's perspective and like through the years. It's so great, you know.
And his use of lighting and reflection
Yes.
is incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. So Chris, what did you like? I'll show some other things as we go, but what did you like? What stood out for you this year? Just in
So
comic books?
first with DC, my top three, number one with a bullet is DC versus Vampires. I fell in love with issue number one. I enjoy Elseworlds stories, especially when the publisher gives the writer free reign to do what he wants. And James Tynion IV rips apart the DC universe in the first 6 issues. And if you haven't read this one, I'm going to spoil it for you.
Spoil it.
Green Lantern is the one that's infecting people. He somehow got bitten by the Vampire King, who is unknown until the end of issue 6. And Green Lantern goes on a killing spree like no other. Flash, the male of the Wonder Twins,
Zan.
Zatanna gets bitten, and Constantine figures out right away who it is, and he wipes her out. And the biggest shocking moment is in issue 6 when the Vampire King is revealed as Nightwing. When Nightwing sticks his hand through the back of Batman and pulls his heart out of his body and shows it to Damian Wayne, and then turns around and bites Damian Wayne, and Batman drops dead right there. And during all this time, Wonder Woman, who was also bitten by Green Lantern, then becomes the most powerful one outside of the Vampire King herself. And Wonder Woman has a very special place in my heart. Just tyrannical, bites the Man of Steel. You know, like it's just incredible writing that you would think is silly, but portrays magnificently throughout all 12 issues. Now, I had a problem with how DC released it. This book was released before Halloween a couple of years ago and just finished last week, and it was only 12 issues. Now, like I said, it was fantastic. I got to meet Tynion this summer at Fan Expo, and I praised him for DC versus Vampires and said, please don't spoil it, but I only have one question. Will it carry on? And his words were, it's open-ended if they want to have some more fun with it. And sure enough, it is. And it's basically your same Tynion tropes that he likes to recognize women and lift them up. Like Something Is Killing the Children comes to mind, you know, with Erica Slaughter being a kick-ass, non-sexualized main character. The same thing happens with the tail end of DC versus Vampires. Throughout the story, Wonder Woman is the powerhouse that she's meant to be in this, and you see 2 female characters rising up through the ranks. That is Batgirl, and the other one is Supergirl. And basically the hope of the entire world falls on the shoulders of Supergirl if somehow she can make her way to the sun and get re-energized, because the entire planet has been blackened out so that the vampires can rule this particular Earth that they're on. And I'm not going to spoil the end of it, because it just came out last week, but it's pure tie-in. And the story does have that shocking ending when it comes to Batgirl and particularly Nightwing. But like I said at the beginning of this, when publishers give writers free will to do what they want, especially a mastercraft writer like James Tynion IV, they can produce some excellent stuff. And the whole idea of the title and even the trade dress itself looks kind of silly. This is worth picking up. If it's even in a trade, the first six issues or the final 6 issues in a trade, it is worth picking up. It's just so much fun. And whatever superhero that you think will make his or her way out of it, I got bad news. I got bad news.
Well, you know what? I wanted to get this because the cover of the first issue with Robin on it, I was like, oh, that looks cool.
Yeah.
I love Robin. I love Wonder Woman. I don't know if you can, you normally don't see this angle. Maybe I don't know how good the lighting is going to be on this side. I'll show you real quick because you haven't seen it before. There's my Wonder Woman shelf right there.
Oh, very good.
Yes. Wonder Woman used to be like this whole thing. And I'm like, okay, I can't do like everything Wonder Woman. It's just like, I like too many things. I was like,
my other favorite stuff from 2022 was obviously like everyone's top 10 list. 8 Billion Genies was very original and very well done. The second volume of We Live by the magnificent Miranda Brothers delivered on what it was supposed to do, with that is world build around Hatoto and his sister. And again, the Miranda Brothers are not afraid to tug at your heartstrings, in particular what happens to Hatoto's sister and that part. And again, the personal aspect that the Miranda Brothers delivered in that story, where they actually, in the back pages, the writer's notes, talk about their father passing away, and this personal thing that happened to them, and sharing that with the world, and letting us know that like, we're impacted by this, but we're going to continue to happen, even though months later, the evil company that they decided to publish with, Aftershock, has not paid them 1 red cent in anything that's happened with the We Live stories. And most importantly, the optioning of We Live to Netflix. Sadly, the Miranda Brothers have not been paid 1 penny by Aftershock, as that they now moved into Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. The other story that I think almost everyone would agree on is obviously Do a Power Bomb.
David's favorite,
I was all over it. So I didn't get this when it came out, which is a fail. So on issue 4, I was like, okay, this looks wicked, because I love wrestling. And I was like, okay, I gotta get it. So I just grabbed it, and then I did the unthinkable, but it has to be done sometimes. I read digitally, but I am a fan of digital comics. I'm not against digital comics. Look, I had 30 long boxes. Like, I can't, like, where are they going? Right. So I sold a shit ton. I gave away long boxes. Like, my buddy's like, I love Superman, long box. I was like, do you want some comics? Here you go. Like, I don't, right. But man, the art was kick ass on that. I haven't read all of it yet though.
Okay.
But the art was kick ass. I like the characters. It was just wicked. So I didn't read all of it, but you can, it doesn't, you can spoil it if you want. It doesn't, spoilers don't affect me. Like,
I'm not going to spoil, I won't spoil the ending.
All
However, that M. Night Shyamalan twist where her father turns out to be the villain that ended up taking her mother's life in the ring, it was just like,
what?
I haven't had my mouth hit the floor since We Live #1, the final issue. We Live Volume 1, the final issue. Do a Power Bomb was exceptional, incredibly original. We did get one other excellent wrestling one shot this year, or last year, and I believe it's Inside the Squared Circle. I have it right here.
I don't remember that one. Let me see.
It was an Aftershock book as well. I'll have to take a look, but yeah. But Do a Power Bomb was fantastic. It's a story about yes, obviously the whole premise is wrestling, but it's about family first. A single dad raising his daughter.
Right.
The mother dies tragically in the ring. The curveball is that the mother was actually wrestling the father when she passed away. And then it's, it comes to pass that the daughter finds out who her father is behind the mask. she had no idea that the villain that took her mother's life was actually her father.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
that story unfolds, and then the final issue represents, the silliness that wrestling really is, where her and her father team up to take on God.
Oh,
And
beautiful.
it just goes from there. And I'm not going to spoil issue 7 either way. It just came out recently, the final issue.
Yeah.
And again, a very heartwarming story, that the way that Johnson always delivers. And I enjoyed his Beta Ray Bill from a couple of years ago.
Yes, I agree with that.
And that was terrific. And I'm looking forward to what he's doing next. And the other book that I want to talk about, my favorite from 2022, was the arc called Empire of the Spider from Miles Morales. Now, I am a diehard Amazing Spider-Man reader. I've got a half sleeve of Peter on my arm.
Oh, awesome.
But I did get into Miles. I did get into Miles a little bit, and let me tell you, if you want to compare the Amazing Spider-Man this particular year versus Miles Morales, well, I got bad news for those ASM fans. Miles Morales, Empire of the Spider, that's it, the cinematic cover right there. Yep, that's it right there. Was incredible. We were introduced to Miles' sister. We were introduced to an alternate universe Miles, where he is the primary villain, and they actually use his name backwards, so it's Simile, I believe. Whatever Miles is backwards, Simile. And the wonderful thing about this story, Empire of the Spider, Miles Morales loses, and everything that could be catastrophic comes to pass. And then it's just now Miles trying to figure his way back up and lift his way back into the world. Yeah, see what on that cover right there? Yeah, that's not Miles. That's the alternate,
right?
The ultimate one. And then flash forward a few months later, they do a clone saga in Miles as well, and that delivers.
Oh, awesome!
I never thought we would have a clone saga deliver as of what happened in the late 90s with Spider-Man. But let me tell you, the Miles Morales, I forget the name of the writer. Oh man, the name of the writer that handles Miles right now, or pardon me, the last volume at least, because Miles just rebooted at #1. Did a terrific job, pound for pound. The best Spider-Man stories last year was found right there. Wow. What he just showed in Miles Morales. And if you haven't read Empire of the Spider, if that trade is not out, do yourself the favor, wait for it, or pick it up when it does come out. That little arc was fantastic, especially if you like to see the superhero fail and have something catastrophic happen after that occurs, and then attempt to try and fix everything back up. Well, it's not just Miles, it's his kid sister that has to help him too. And it was very, very well done storytelling.
Yeah,
I'm gonna check that out then, because I ignored it. So
that's
sorry,
no need to apologize, because Peter's stories generally always are at the forefront.
Yeah.
But it's just I just happened to I picked up one issue of Miles because it had a beautiful cover. Let's be honest, Miles does get some beautiful covers. Right. So I picked one up and got into it. I'm like, oh, this is pretty good. I'll pick up the next one, and that happened to be the first issue of Empire of the Spider. Yeah. And man, oh man, I love when the superhero fails. And let me tell you, when he fails, it like I said, there's no other better word than catastrophic than what happens for Empire of the Spider.
Yeah. So I did like what they did with Amazing Spider-Man this year with the first 10 or so issues with
Zeb Wells and JRJR.
That was cool. Yeah. But yeah, no, I'll definitely check this out, because I like evil. The evil alternate version sometimes. It
is. So it's issues 37 to 42 is that, and the trade is out. We can get it off of CA for like $14 or something like that. So it's available. If I see Miles Morales, I'm just like, okay, and I kind of like turn the other way.
Right. I get that. That's a generational thing. Let's be honest.
Let's be honest.
It's a generational thing. Yeah. So my son is in his mid-20s now, and he identifies Spider-Man as Peter Parker.
Right.
Now, however, Marc from Legion of Comics, he's got a little guy that's like 7 or 8 years old, and he identifies Miles as Spider-Man. So a lot of us Gen Xers, those of us that are narrow-minded are not going to like it, but Miles Morales is starting to become identified as Spider-Man, especially when you have now Across the Spider-Verse about to come out, and
Yeah,
it looks
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's going to be just as good as the first one.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
What is these releasing new comics so late in January? Well, they had some problems. Didn't they have some problems just I think this was just last week. It was 2 weeks. Yeah, it was let's face it was an effing disaster. Like, some people got books, some people did. Now, I never feel anything. The only DC book I get, no, I'm sorry, I collect Wonder Woman and Action Comics. So those were okay for my shop at
Yeah.
least.
No, I was gonna say, yeah.
I know. That's nice. I saw. Yeah, that is awesome.
yeah. I pick up Wonder Woman myself faithfully.
Never stopped.
I've been reading Wonder Woman for the better part of 4 years straight. Now,
Yeah.
up and down, up and down.
Yeah.
But it's the one thing I
Rebirth?
don't really regularly talk about it that much on my channel or whatever. But Wonder Woman has been quietly great for a long time. And a lot of people pick up like the B covers if Jenny Frison does something, or
Right.
or Joshua Middleton comes out and does one as well. But yeah, Wonder Woman pound for pound has been very good. It doesn't matter who the writer is. Yeah, and it's not all just Steve Trevor either, by the way, everybody.
Right. I like. Well, I started with George Perez, Wonder Woman, like number one. And I've got almost all of them right here at my legs, right down here. And then I did not like New 52 Wonder Woman, though. I hated it. I don't know. I didn't like the look of the character. I was like, no, I don't know why. I couldn't.
I'm not sure if it was New 52 or not, but I think it was. The only arc that I truly loved was Meredith and David Finch's small run on Wonder Woman. I think that was around issue 37. They may have taken over, and they did I believe something like an all-out war type of arc where her home was under attack, and they actually turned Wonder Woman into a little bit of a detective as well. And that's something that I appreciate that Meredith Finch did. And plus David Finch, my God, again, just an incredible artist. So the interiors were spectacular. This is a guy who normally only does covers, let's be honest. But yeah, that New 52 stuff, I agree. It was generally weak. But the Meredith Finch, I think it was only 12 or 16 issues that she did.
Yeah.
And they were very good, I thought.
I think it's this one. It's volume 9 in the I'm looking up trades. It's volume 9 of the trades. Sure. What issues was that? Let me see here. Read more. That was 48 to 52. But
that's
maybe
short. Okay.
48. Well, that's just what this is collecting. I'm not saying that's the whole thing. There might be another volume of that. But I gotta say, Rebirth Wonder Woman. So I was a Wonder Woman hardcore. Like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. That's my 3 favorite characters. Wonder Woman from like day one. Linda Carter. I have her autograph. I love Linda Carter, Wonder Woman. I spun around as a kid. I thought I could change to Wonder Woman. It didn't work. So I was really upset over that. And then I tried to get angry and I didn't turn into the Hulk. I tried everything that happened on TV and none of it worked. I'm still a me.
Get bit by a radioactive spider.
I couldn't find one. I would have tried it. I'm positive if I could have found one. But look, everyone's favorite characters as kids was Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Hulk, Spider-Man, right? Because that was what was on TV all the time, right? It's like live action shows or maybe Captain America in there, right?
Cartoons.
For me, it was Spider-Man. Superman will always have a special place in my heart because of Christopher Reeve. But I used to like daydream walking through elementary or middle school that I was Wolverine. Up the claws, I'll just be ripping apart people's lockers as I walked. That never happened. I can't pop the claws.
No.
So I got to. I'm going to tell you this. Everyone's heard this, so I tell it all the time. They hate this story, but I'm going to tell you because you haven't heard it, Chris. Only reason I'm telling you is because I want you to put this in perspective. Okay. So when Wolverine #1 came out, him on the dead bodies with the claws or whatever.
Yes.
I literally dressed up as Wolverine for that Halloween. I did my hair. I shaded my eyes even, right?
Yep.
I did the torn up clothes. And I went as Wolverine. Nobody knew who I was.
Nobody. And now people are naming their children after it.
Right. But it's not even, they're like, okay, so maybe you might think, well, maybe the costume, I didn't do it that perfect. Then they're like, who are you supposed to be? I'm like, Wolverine. Who's that? can you imagine a time where Wolverine, who's that? Right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
wow. Like
Yeah.
to think that like my mom knows Wolverine, like everybody knows Wolverine.
Yeah,
and
unfortunately, these comic characters need like media outside of comics for people to know
You got
them.
it.
I think maybe the only exception was pre 94 Spider-Man, because there was the TV series that no one remembered for a long time.
Right.
But also the cartoons. There were some cartoons.
There's always
but,
a Spider-Man cartoon.
But I think like from 1994, when the Fox cartoon came out onward, Spider-Man was a fixture on toy shelves.
Mhm.
Before that, I think, and I always say this, when I was in high school, before that 94 cartoon, every kid read Spider-Man.
For sure.
Jocks and like bullies and
Yeah.
nerds like me, we all could bond on Spider-Man. All the stories that were happening, like Venom, the Puma debt, all that stuff, right?
Yep.
And it was
Gang
it
War.
sort of transcended without having a cartoon or a movie to boost it. Beyond that, I can't remember. Yeah, I remember a time when no one knew what Wolverine was.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
And I was Punisher. Like the
Oh,
first
so, yeah.
comic, the first comic book I ever bought at my first convention was War Journal issue, whatever it was, where the claws were going through the shirt.
Yeah.
And my second comic at my first, say, I bought 2 comics at my first. There was a time where I only bought 2 comics at a convention. That's how bad, because they were free, or it was like $1 to get in, or something stupid, right?
Yeah.
And it was Spider-Man versus Wolverine. And
Ooh, I may have that right.
I've
close
got
by.
that. I've got the. I've still have, and I have the
Jumping
entire
over the
run of War
tombstone.
Journal.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's crazy. Can I say something smart about? I'm gonna say something smart. Look, I'm not pro or any of these things. I love DC and Marvel. I have equal number of tattoos of Marvel and equal number of tattoos of heroes. Yeah, go ahead.
This was the wrestling book I was talking
that
about.
looks wicked.
Hell is
I
a
did-
squared circle.
I
This
saw
was
that. Yeah.
this was
that.
terrific.
Oh,
Yeah.
I should have
It's
gone-
just
I
a
did-
one shot prestige format from
Yep.
Aftershock. Boo, Aftershock. But yeah, this was a terrific story, and the interior artwork is actually
awesome.
very, very well done for a true independent. Yeah.
You know, I'll say this: my shop. I like this, but sometimes I don't like it. My shop pre-bags and boards everything.
Yeah.
So it's on the shelf, bagged and boarded.
Yeah.
So what happens is that I understand why they do that, but on the other hand, it prevents me from flipping through books that I might find interesting. Yeah. Oh man, that's beautiful. Oh, I love it. 9.6. Nice. Yes, that's awesome. Yeah. The only slabbed comic I have is the first appearance of Stiltman. And that's because I love Stiltman. I'm going to start a Stiltman Facebook group for the 3 people that like him.
I do have a question about all this, because Chris, like I've been watching your channel for a bit now, and you're a slab comic guy. I've resisted slabs for about 30 years now.
Okay.
I haven't submitted anything for slabs.
Okay.
And I haven't purchased a slab thing yet.
Okay.
Did you have a transition period there where you were like, I don't know about slabs, like, because my hesitation was always, I like raw because I like to actually open the comics and read them, and I know that's not for everyone because they want the best condition thing possible, but I do like to read them. And I do have hesitancy on getting something that I can never open ever again, although it is graded, but I don't really. I mean, I do want the things to be the best condition possible, but I don't really resell. So
I can totally understand where you're coming from and exactly what you're saying, Sean. I started reading comic books when I was 6, 7, 8 years old. My mom, mostly my dad, would agree to pick up whatever. My mom would often bring home Archie books or those double digests and that stuff. And I can remember the Richie Rich and Casper's Friendly Ghost. These were my introduction to the medium. Mm-hmm. After that, around 9, 10, 11, I graduated. I'd like to say graduated into superhero comic books. And I read, obviously, The Amazing Spider-Man was first and foremost. Also fell in love with the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
And from there, I graduated into bigger storytelling. The Death of Kraven series that crossed over the 3 Spider titles. The Killing Joke. You know, these are not tweens type of stories.
Right.
Now that I'm in my late 40s, and that I have some disposable money, I go back and I pick those stories up that I enjoyed, slabbed.
Yeah.
And that's the big thing for me. It's nothing. Every new comic book day, I'm somewhere between 20 and $100 on the stories that I enjoy. Now, if there's a sexy cover that's coming out, a la Jenny Frison per se, I may pick that if I can get a deal through one of the online or on one of the online companies for a cheap slab, or if I can find one that's on sale, I will pull the trigger. Now, I can almost guarantee I'm well over 300 slabs at this point. 90% of the slabs I've owned, I've read the stories that are within them.
Yeah.
And of those 90%, my slab is the second copy that I've owned, and that's why.
Yeah.
I'm first and foremost a reader. Like I said, I'm a second generation comic book reader. My old man, growing up in the early 60s, read a lot of American Westerns and history comics and that kind of thing that would ever be delivered by ship in a small fishing village in Newfoundland where he grew up. Now, he is the one that introduced me to the medium, and it's something I've introduced to my son as well. My son likes Deadpool and Wolverine, but he's not the extent that I am, nor is he even at the extent that my old man was back, in the 60s. I would read cover to cover, including all the ads as well. My dad knew, my dad said that he knew every part of Charles Atlas's body just from the back covers. But slabs for me is about preservation and potential value.
Yeah.
And I am not someone that sells either. I give a lot of stuff away on my channel. And that's probably how I cheated my way to 1,000 subscribers, to be honest. However, I do think that certain stories, certain comic books, certain artwork, certain covers need to be preserved, and that they mean something to me. And this is also one. This was gifted to me by my girlfriend, and this is one that meant something to me.
Yeah.
I can remember when this came out, I couldn't find it anywhere because I was late that day, and all the kids picked them up because it had both the biggest franchisable characters and in that particular time in the same book, and this was never done again. This is a one shot.
Yeah.
They could have mined this for years, and it would have been the best selling comic book of all. But no, they only did it a one shot. And and again, another one for me now is Something Is Killing the Children. I fall in love with that story, and I love the fact that we finally have a kick-ass lead character that's a female that's not sexualized. She doesn't have triple D boobs. She doesn't have her ass hanging out in sexy clothing. She's just someone out there that has an attitude because she's been jaded and jilted by the organization that raised her, and she's out trying to separate herself from that, meanwhile doing the right thing. And those covers are spectacular and have a lot of tremendous artists. So I get those slabbed, or I will pick them up if they're already slabbed because I've already read all those arcs all the way through. So I'm not going to sit here and preach to you guys, go out and spend the money and get your stuff slabbed, or go get it autographed and submit it that way for the sexy yellow label or anything. I'm not going to do that. But for me, it's just a method of preservation. Like I said, I have ASM 1 through 50. It took me a long time to get that done, and a lot of pennies to get that done. Easily 4/5 of that run I have graded, and I had them slabbed, including issue number 1, which is also signed by Stan. However, when I got my issue number 1, I cracked it and I read that book cover to cover. Then I went to Fan Expo when Stan's final appearance happened. I had that book signed along with a couple other ones, and I got it reslabbed, and it came back in its same value. I believe it's a 2.0. It could be a 0.0. I don't care. It's ASM number 1, and I've now got it safely preserved, and I can tell you what happens from cover to cover and some of those ads as well. Yeah. But slabs are for everyone, and I get that. And I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not going to sit here and defend it, and I'm not going to sit here and say you're doing it wrong. They are expensive, don't get me wrong. But I look at it as potential value. If the day ever comes when I'm stuck for any reason and I need a quick amount of cash for whatever reason, I have enough of a backlog of slabs where I can pick out a couple cherry pick ones. I'm like, okay, this might be $200. This might be $300. Okay, here's $500. It might get me out of a jam. Right. And that helps.
Yeah.
But again, that's just raw versus graded, because raw books can be with the same value as well.
So
But-
I have a follow-up question.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry for these 20 questions, but
No. I'm very interested.
so my follow-up question is, and I hate when I see this, and I don't know if this is just normal and I'm wrong. I don't like it when vendors sell raw books for slab prices. Because they look at a raw book and say this could fetch 9.8 if you submit it for grading. And it's like, you don't even know that, right? But it looks pristine, so they sell it. Because there's a store, and I'm not going to mention what store, where I saw behind the counter on the wall they had Transformers #1, and I have Transformers #1, so I was curious what they were selling it for, and because mine will be worth that much. And the guy was like $400. I was like, 400? What happened? This was about like a $50 book, like the last time I checked. And that's high. And the guy was like, it's so pristine that it could get 9.8 and it would be worth $400 when it's graded. And in my head, I'm like, but
it's not graded.
So you're telling me I have to buy it for the slab price, then submit it to slab and hope that I'll actually get exactly what you think it is? That's crazy to me. Have you encountered this? Am I wrong? Like,
yeah, I've been to cons all around the area, both in the United States and here in Canada, whether it's Michigan, Illinois, New York, Ontario, whatever.
Yeah,
a lot of them do this style. Or the one I hate is, here's Action Comics 1050 in a foil. Let me just go take a look at what it's sold on eBay, and I'll let you have it then.
I was just gonna say
that to me, that's the one I've encountered a little bit more. However, yes, I agree. My response to dealers that'll be like, this is a 9.8 every day of the week, and all you have to do is submit it. Okay, first of all, submitting a goddamn book is not cheap. It's going to cost you, depending on what company you use, whether it's CBCS or the preferred one, CGC.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking at potentially anywhere between $25 and $40.
Yeah.
Then you got to pay for shipping. Yeah. Then there's insurance on it as well. And guess what? If that book is pre-1973 or 1974, well, then it qualifies as a different style book, and that's more expensive.
Yeah.
And it goes from there. So my big thing is always, well, if it's 9.8, why didn't you submit it? Because I'm sure you also have other graded books. Why is that one still sitting raw? And then that's when I would turn and argue, like, okay, let's go to eBay.
Right.
Let's take a look at what you think a 9.8 raw book is going for. Now, Transformers #1 is a special book, painted cover, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
It's the one that launched, it's the one that launched the franchise in this particular medium.
Right.
But again, like, I am not spending $400 for a Transformers Raw #1 when I can spend $400 on a Transformer slab that's going to be graded. And I got bad news for that guy. It's not coming in at $400. A 9.8 Transformers #1 is north of almost $2,000. Yeah. So yeah, I'm lucky if that $400 may get me a 5.0 or 7.5. Now I might be wrong because the bubble has burst with COVID pricing. But yeah, it's a dirty tactic. Now, and the thing is, okay, pull that book off the wall. At that point, I'm going to go through page by page by page. Yeah. If there's any nicks or bends or dog ears or foxing or color rub, guess what? That book's not a 9.8. Now, what's your 9.6 price? What's your 9.4 price? Right. If you want to go down a rabbit hole of charging slab prices for raw books, well, then let's crack that book open, because I'm not a grader, but I know what's wrong with books when I see it. Yeah. And I generally walk away from guys like that. Like, if I want a book that I feel should be a 9.8, I'm gonna spend my money on the book that's already graded at 9.8. Right. Books that I submit myself are, generally speaking, brand new books off the rack in the last 2, 3, 4 years that I know that the comic shop is the only other hands other than mine that have touched this book, other than the printer himself, or pardon me, herself as well. And Sean, I feel your pain. It's a dirty tactic. I think the only one dirtier is the one that, is like $10, where you pull what is like a book that's on the rise or hot in the last few months out of the $5 bin, and the owner or the dealer says, oh, that shouldn't be in there, that's a $20 book.
Right.
Dude,
Yeah.
How
exactly.
How are you not handling your inventory then? Like
Yeah.
this, like come on, man, $5. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I find I'm like sort of in the middle of like when I see the slab guys at the cons, I pass them because
Okay.
I'm looking for specific, like I want to finish, like I'm trying to finish West Coast Avengers, I'm trying to finish
Okay.
Superboy and Legion
Yeah.
Superheroes.
We're
So I've
filling
got like
gaps.
I'm trying
Yeah.
to fill my gaps. Doctor Strange, I'm like 4 issues away. Like it's like, so it's like it's stuff like that. Now, the reverse of it though, like I've got the first appearance of Hawkeye, right? Now, not slabbed or anything, but it's basically like for me, it's more like preserving it. You could buy, it's like one of those ones that like clamp together and it's like a thick one. It's not like a top
Yep.
loader. It's like, I
Mhm.
don't know what they're called, but they're like $20. So I'm like, you
Like
know
a
what? I'll
hard
just
shell.
buy that.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
hard shell.
Yeah,
And I
clam
just
shell,
put
pardon
that.
me.
And then
Mhm.
I'm good. And Sean, next time you come over, it's right there. So I'll
Yeah.
show it to you so you can see what it
Yeah.
is if you want to preserve, but you can still open that up. And
I have
it's
2 hard
still
shells. One for my first appearance of Marc Rambo, Captain Marvel, and one for the first appearance of Predator in
Oh,
comics.
cool.
Okay.
And those are they're $20 cases.
Yeah, and those are okay. Otherwise, I use top loaders. I've got first
Yeah.
Cable. I was like top loader for Dark. I've got Dark Phoenix. I got first Emma. I got first what's her face?
Yeah,
Kitty.
and that's the thing that makes the community so wonderful. It just in the end, we're still buying comic books, whether it's encased or not. We're still supporting the medium. We're still supporting the community. It's just how you want to distribute your money within it, right? Like again, like I said, I have no problem picking up raw books to complete a collection. I'm with you on that, guys. But there will come a point where if I feel I've spent a lot of money on this stuff personally,
Yeah.
I may want to preserve it. And those are then that may be the avenue that I go to do so. Now I got books in top loaders. I got my UF4 is in a top loader right now. But it will, I can guarantee, make its way to a slab one day.
It's in the queue or in the
Right,
slab.
you know,
I'm not averse to it. Like I feel like it's
going
going to happen in the next few years. I'll submit, and then I feel like once I get over, I'm also afraid because it seems like a very elaborate process to me.
That's what I was gonna say. That
Yeah.
I have the fear of like I'm gonna send this in and something's gonna happen because it's me, right?
Yeah.
But like I think my shop does it as well.
Yeah.
So
And
Phantom
some
Outsider,
shows
buddy.
do too.
Your
thanks for
shop
popping in.
was the first book that I ever submitted books to. It was at the Niagara Falls Comic Con actually,
All right,
and I
there you
had
go.
I had a few OAs taken care of right there, and I wanted it to be protected.
Right.
And that was my introduction to slabs, was getting original artwork on blank covers done. Well, I was afraid of something happening, so I wanted them to be submitted and protected that way. So a good portion of my slab collection is original artwork.
That's awesome.
That was done through your comic shop.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, it may seem, it might be a little nerve-wracking. It may be something that, that get your back up because of the fear of the unknown and what happens on the other side of the wall, what happens with transportation, all that. I can guarantee you, like, the books that I've submitted that I thought were going to be stuff that's new, stuff that's, say, in the last 10 years, modern books, they come back what I thought they would be, whether it be, oh, this is going to be a 9.8, comes back a 9.6. All right, well, there's something I missed. Like these guys, they're paid professionals. It's what they do. They look at comic books for a living under a microscope. It's the stuff from the 60s, like my ASM run, where I'm like, oh, this is glorious. The 7.5 comes back at 3.0. Why? Well, I look it up on the notes. Well, there's marble chipping. There's creases in the back cover that I ignored because I was so caught up in the moment. My God, this is the first Rhino. I finally got it. I need to get this graded. And you get caught up in the moment. But it's like everything else. Once you do it once or twice, you get used to the process. You get used to the turnaround time. As long as you trust whomever you're submitting your books with, whether you're doing it at a con to CGC or CBCS in person, or whether you're using a third party like your local comic shop or someone that's hosting an autograph event. That's that once you get past that fear of the unknown and once you start getting stuff back and it comes back at a grade that you reasonably thought it would come back at, It's that. But the only thing I would recommend is if you are going to attempt this, find your favorite stories, find your favorite covers, and start there. Don't go and be like, oh, this is Miles Morales #1. It's going to be worth a lot of money, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Stuff that we're used to, i.e. the whole image boom in the beginning. Those books are worthless.
Yeah.
They are
Don't get caught
rebouncing
up in
for
the
50
death of
cents.
Superman, right? Don't get caught up. This is going to be pay for my kid's university. It's not.
Yeah.
I
Find
saw
the
that on
stuff
the news.
you love and either go buy it already graded or submit the book that you love yourself, that you've handled 1,000,001 times, the one you reread 100 times over, and you don't care what it comes back, what the grade is. You just want that book to be protected so you can share it with your family or hand it down, or this is your display piece. People are like, well, what's that book up there? Well, this is the very first Spider-Man book that I ever purchased with my own money.
Yeah.
You know, the grade is not very good, but it's mine.
Yeah.
And it's protected now. And that's what I would recommend if you decide to get into it. Again, it's an expensive venture because we're dealing with it's all in American dollars.
Right.
And we know the Canadian dollar is not where it's supposed to be.
One US dollar is 400 Canadian dollars.
Right.
I'm just joking.
But no, it's it's when it comes to slabs for me, it definitely there has to be passion involved.
Right.
Or a gift or something I want or something
Yeah.
like that. I'm not just going to go out and get a random Green Lantern 28 done because I think, my God, this might be a 9.9.
Right.
It's got to be something that I know I enjoy for more than just one reason.
Yeah, no, I see the key hunters online. They're like, oh, this movie's coming out, and then this guy's first appearance is in it, and and then they slap that, right? But yeah. There's the death of Super. Now you can just get those like $5 bin with the bag over it. And
it's funny. The first Doomsdale actually does have a little bit of value in a 9.8.
Yes. Yeah.
Phantom, I've got this one for you.
Don't even think about it, pal. Don't even think about it.
It's like I saw a lady at the last con. Ooh, she had like so many deaths of Superman, and she's like, oh, and I think like it was her husband or whatever who didn't put the pricing on or said something, and she had $500 for. All right,
I don't remember this lady. Yeah.
We split up at this point.
Yeah, we split up.
And she asked me, she's like, oh, you think? I was thinking, I'm like, this isn't even $5. Like, I don't even know. Like, I was thinking, did you get the decimal wrong? Like, she's thinking, is it 500? I'm like, no. I was like, no, I'm sorry. She's like, oh, maybe it's 50. I was like, no, I don't think so. It's like, is it 5? I'm like, I don't think it's $5 either. I'm like, I lost money on that because I paid $30 because my shop at the time, not the shop I'm at now, was one of those stingy shops where I told them it was on my list, and they're like, oh, we can't sell it to you for cover price because there was like a lineup outside the mall, and they're like, we're going to try to make whatever we can off it. So they were selling them.
Yeah, on the bag, we talked about this because we showed it on our stream.
Yeah.
On the bag, it had a retail price.
Right.
But every store, except for mine, I got mine cover price. I don't know how the hell that happened, but everyone else is selling it for $25.
Yep, I paid $30.
Yeah, it was crazy. That was a crazy time. Yeah,
1990, whatever, mid 90s or whatever it was.
Yeah,
it's like that's crazy. But anyways, it's like so that's a ripoff. But I will say, I don't mind the graded stuff. It's like it's cool. It's a market, right? It's a market on its own. But and I've seen a-holes on both sides. Chris, I'm with you 100%. The guy who's like, oh, let me check the thing. No, what's the price? It's like, what are you trying to make off this? Going on eBay? Well, I'm not going on eBay. And then what seller are you going to find? And then the other thing is, I've seen guys literally sit there, and I've got a stack, and you know the guy I'm talking about, Sean, the guy in the end. I got a stack of shit. Okay, I must have picked up 30 New Mutants comics, or I'm like ready to pay, and there's a guy like examining. It's like this. You're not doing an autopsy. It's like, if you think he's overcharging, just say, buddy, I don't want to pay $500 for this book. Can you do $450 or something?
Yeah,
he's like, most can negotiate. You go, how well can you do on this, right? What's your
you can haggle.
You
Yeah.
have like,
And sometimes you
if you're at a
can't meet.
con too, like it's you know, if I don't like the price, the guy next door is probably going to have the same book. You know, it's not like I'm hunting Amazing Fantasy 15 here, and
Right.
like where you got me, if I can find the copy, it's the other way around. You're sitting on a book that's probably 5 or 6 other copies somewhere in this con, and if you don't want my money at this price, even though if I feel it's fair,
Right.
and I'm not gonna lowball the hell out of someone, but just for example, say a 9.8 copy of Venom #1 Lethal Protector, that red foil cover.
Yeah.
You,
Oh yeah.
sure
Yeah.
you guys
Yeah.
know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Now, if that book is say goes at the average sale and the 9.8 is say $100.
Right.
Now I got a guy here, it's got 115 price tag on it. You go over there 100 or whatever. I'm gonna
Right.
go around, I'm gonna offer 80.
Right.
Now
for
you're still
sure.
making good money. I'm getting a good deal. You're getting paid. I'm sure that you got gas you got to take care of, and the fee for having the table there.
Mhm.
And it's a quick sale. And the thing is, this book is overprinted as it is.
Right.
So let's be honest, but that's just it. Like, I haggle. I'll be honest, but I don't haggle to be like ridiculous. I try to come in fair. Or if I'm buying a couple books, all right, give me a bundle price here.
I
right?
always get
and
the
we'll go
bundle,
and go
the bundle
right.
price.
Yeah, but these guys that break open their phone while like, oh, Spider-Man versus Wolverine 9.6. Oh, it just went on eBay for $225. I'll let you have it for $220. No, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's like we're here to get a deal. This is the point of why
You
we're
had
coming.
150 price tag on it. Why all of a sudden it's changed now?
Right.
Because
I
someone's finally
hate
interested
that.
in something that you priced 2.5 years ago, and you've been carrying that book around all that time.
Yeah. And that's a red flag. And then I'm just like, yeah, that's not even but even for not slab stuff, it's like if you don't like the price, haggle. If you can't meet, you can't meet. Like if you want, if the seller wants 400, and there's some things. What was it? This is at a toy show, so different. It was at a toy show, and they had this great Dragon Ball Z Piccolo. I don't know if you're a Dragon Ball. So they had Piccolo, this great figure, and it was like $60, which is nothing, right? But I'm like looking at it, I'm like, it's $60. I'm like, no, and the guy's like, oh, it's a great price. It's selling on eBay for 75. I said, I'm not haggling the price. I said, I just can't get there. I can't pay 60. I just don't feel like, because I've got a vintage Star Wars figure. I'd rather buy a vintage Leia or whatever that I need, right? I'm like, this is a brand new toy. And I'm like that with toys, even with comics too. Like, if something's new, it's like, this can't be that much. Like sometimes it comes out, it's like, well, this is new or is limited. Okay, so fine. But limited does not mean impossible either. And how is this like hundreds of dollars? Like,
but also you post for a certain price, you're not exactly going to get that price. That comic can be on your wall for 10 shows. It's like it's like it's really worth what someone's going to pay for it. Like J-Man had a good strategy for getting the first appearance of Mongol, because he's trying to finish his
okay, hold on. Okay, before you tell this strategy, listen. We had about 10 people. We're about 6 people in chat right now. Do not tell anyone else. Okay, this is
be careful.
Patented. This is patented J-Man technology. Go ahead, Sean. Tell it. It's
okay. So
this works every time.
The guy had a price. I can't remember what it was. And J-Man couldn't meet that price.
Yeah, no way.
Like, well, that's it. Like, that's what the price is. And J-Man opened his wallet and showed the money. He's like, this is literally all I have in my wallet.
Yeah.
And the guy looked and he's like, okay. And
I forgot what it was. But it was like I think it was like I don't know what it was. It was like $300 or something, right?
Yeah.
And I opened up my wallet. I said, I have $210, right? Which is like normally if
you can check. There's no other bills hidden here.
Right.
Like, this is it.
If it's 300, what's the lowest? You might get it for 270 or something. Like, you won't get it for 210. Like, he's not going to drop it $100.
No.
I said, this is all I have. This can go home with you, or it can go home with me. That's all I have.
Or you can go home with this book and no one ever buys it.
Or you take this book home. Yeah. You've had it here forever. You've brought it to every show since the dawn of time. You've had this book before it came out. You've been dragging it around the show before it was even published. You've been dragging this book around. I was like, or you can take, or I'll take this, whatever you want. And it works every time.
I know this is toys, but I always see when we go to toy shows, I always see the poor soul that has the first Optimus Prime in the box and everything, $350, $400, and I always see it, and no one ever buys it because you could say it's worth that much, but no one's buying it, you know. So yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, what it's worth and what it sells. We sold at comic shows.
Yeah.
I
For a while.
had so many copies of that Wolverine #1. I dragged those to show after show after show. Finally, I said $20, whoever wants it, and then that went right.
Yeah.
And it was like I dragged. I love the Peter David Aquaman, but I had 1 to 75, the whole thing. I actually regret selling this, and this was before Aquaman. This is way back before Aquaman hype in the movie or any of that stuff, right? And it's like I was trying to get rid of stuff because it does take up a lot of space. I was like, I don't need this really. I even did Starman. I bought the omnibuses, and I was like, okay, Starman can go. I have Alan Moore Swamp Thing hardcover. Like that's good enough for me. So anyways, I don't have any children. My wife and I, I'm 45. My wife and I are not having children. It's not happening. I don't have, my cousins, I don't know if they'll like this stuff. If they do, they're going to have all this. If they don't, then they're just going to sell. They're going to come in and just say, here, take all this away. But yeah. I was just like, I just want to get rid of stuff. So I did a fire sale on table. Remember Sean at the toy show?
Mm-hmm.
I was like $300. I'm walking away from the table. This is for toys. Guy, yeah. And the guy who, those two guys, the guy with the long hair guy and the guy with the cap, he came over. I don't remember their names. He's like, oh, I'll do it, Jay. 300. I'm like, yep. I took 300, walked away.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah,
remember that?
Yeah.
And it was like, walk away, take the. So I'm like fire sale guy.
Mm-hmm.
But then here's the other thing that irritates me, and Sean knows this too. The hagglers that are crazy hagglers. I literally had Peter David Aquaman 1 to 75 for $40.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's actually insane, right? Like that's insane. And the guy's like, well, can you do any better? I'm like, do any better? Are you insane?
At $1 a book, you're still getting a bunch of free books.
It's 50 cents a book or whatever, right? Or like it's like 1 to 75 for $40. It's like, what are you talking about, right? And it's like he's like, oh, and then he's like, can we flip a coin? I'm like, really? So I said, I'll do $35, right? If you give me money right this second. He's like, let's flip a coin. And if it goes, I'll give you 30 if it's heads and 35 if it's tails or something. I was like, fine, flip it. And it was 35. I got the $35.
Yeah.
I still see that guy. I'm like, $35 Aquaman. Don't you forget. Cause he was selling stuff. Mm-hmm. And I came over. I said, he's like, I'll give you a good deal. I said, no. You're not going to give me a good deal. You're going to give me a freaking fantastic deal right now because you're the $35 Aquaman guy. Remember me? He's like, oh, I remember you. I was like, right. I said, I'm going to tell you the price. This is going to work differently. Remember how the customer is always right? Looks like I'm right today. But anyways, it's like, and Sean would sell, what was it, 2 for $5 or something? It's like 2 for $5. Can you do any better? Like, I don't understand. It's better than what? You had a
I had a 25-cent box.
25-cent box.
And there was a Mickey Mouse figure in there from Disney World. It was my childhood one. And the guy looked at me and said, can you do any better? And I looked at J-Man and I looked at each other like, what's happening right now? Like,
pennies are not in circulation. I can't make change.
At this point, if it's 25 cents, this is not a garage sale anymore.
Yeah.
It's a quarter. The one thing I find, though, generally speaking, if you're honest with the dealer, and like if you give them even a little bit of a backstory, for example, like I end up getting an ASM 14 First Green Goblin, cover detached, mangled, and the guy wanted wanted $150 a few years ago, just wrecked. Obviously, the book, it doesn't matter what condition is, it's $500 regardless. First Green Goblin, and I said to him, I actually need this for my ASM run. However, the best I can do is $80 because I still got to go grab a meal or whatever afterwards.
Right.
He's like, for your run, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
So that's just it. At what point do dealers just get tired of showcasing the same books?
Yeah.
And that's what I find is if you're honest and you tell them what the book is for, and if the one thing I really find works is what I say is, look, this is not going on eBay.
Yeah.
Like that, this is going into my personal collection. If you want to help me out, this is what I can afford. If it doesn't work out for you, all right. But I'm going to tell the exact same thing to the guy over there It's just a question of which one of you wants the money more.
Yeah.
Right. And the thing is, you're here to sell the book. And if you want eBay prices, then put it on eBay.
Right.
Yeah.
And I want to address this. I didn't lie. That was the last money. Whenever I do that, it is the last money I have. I wouldn't lie to somebody, and everyone knows that I keep it. Like I went to one guy. I think it was the first Polaris. I got the first and second Polaris, like where she's on the cover, the Steranko, the green, the full green cover, which is awesome. It's back. You can't see it. It's back there. And I said to the guy, I said, dude, I like Polaris tattoo. You know, I love Polaris. Like, I got a tattoo of Polaris, buddy. Like, I'm not scamming you. I'm not trying to. I didn't sit here for 2 hours.
The only man with a Polaris tattoo.
The only man. I got a Wonder Man tattoo.
Yeah.
I'm the only person on earth that has a Wonder Man tattoo. That's for damn sure. So I was like, dude, like, can you help me? And Sean, you were there for that one. I was like, can you help me out? And the guy, they'll help me out. I'm like, look, this is going into a shelf with my Polaris figures. I even met the girl who played Polaris on that dumb show or whatever, that X-Men. What was it called? X-Kid? No, what the hell was that called? Gifted. Gifted.
Yes.
Yeah, and she still had the green hair because she was still filming The Gifted, so I got a picture with her. She's also, attractive, so there's that. But I got a picture with her and all that.
Wait, an actress being attractive in a TV show?
No, but don't tell anybody. Don't tell me. My wife wasn't there for that convention. But no, I was like, look, I love Polaris. Can you help me out? And they usually do. They're human beings. They collect comics too.
They're there too. Yeah, no, they've been there too.
And Sean and I both do this when we sell at shows. I've actually asked people, because people will come around. Look, a lot of your sales, if you're a vendor, are pre-show, because other vendors will come around.
Yeah.
And I've had guys, and there's a few guys, and we know who they are. They come around, and I was like, and I asked the guy point blank. I'm like, dude, are you flipping this, or is it for you? I said, if you're flipping it, I will give you half so that you could sell it for double. Like, I'll be like, what can you sell these figures for? He goes, I can sell these figures for $30. I said, I'll do 15 a figure, and you could flip it for double. And then if people, right, it's like, I'll let you flip it. Like, I'm okay with you flipping it if you really need to, if you want to flip it, because my mentality is I'm not a vendor. I'm a vendor sometimes to make space. So I want things gone. We had a full, remember this, Sean? I don't know if you're a Transformers guy, but we had a Predaking. My buddy had a Predaking, full Predaking with all the stickers, all accessories, everything. I wanted like 100, which is nothing. Guy came by. Remember this, Sean? Guy came by. He's like, Predaking is like complete, all stickers. He's like, this is crazy. He's like, how much? 100? He's like, I don't know. Can you do any better? I'm like, no. I never do better because I price it stupid, right?
We were selling for a friend too. So
selling for a friend. And I was like, he's like, I don't care what you get. He's like, I just want $50. I was like, oh, I'll get you more than $50. I said, this thing's hundreds of dollars, right? Yeah. He went to the next table. The guy next to me had it for 300 Predaking, same one as mine. It's like, I saw the guy. It's like moonwalk, like backwards. Are you still doing 100 of that? I'm like, you tell me right now, 100. I'm like, because I want it to go. If I want it to go, I want it to go. That's the way we operate. Sean made thousands of dollars by selling Transformers.
It was G1 Transformers. I had the whole thing.
G1 Transformers,
and it was
ridiculous. Like
it was between the second and third movie. Let me just go on the record. I don't like the Michael Bay movies, but
what?
They made Transformers white hot for a while. So yeah, I mean, and now I find they're going down in price. But for a while they were white hot, and we made between 2,000 and 3,000 in just cash that day.
Message to I'll do a FUBAR message for Michael Bay Transformers movies.
I recommend you try another sport like knitting.
Sorry, I gotta throw that one on. Yeah, I despise those movies, but they're all right there on the shelf, all on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah.
Your Transformers. We made. Well, that's because we were stationed out. They put our table outside the main hall. And we're the people that you walk by to get into the main hall. And usually, I mean, you bypass those guys, you get into the main hall. So we got bypassed by the whole line. Right. And they all went to the main hall, and everyone's selling everything for like $40-50 more than what I'm selling. So about a half hour later, like clockwork, people are coming right back. It's like, how much you got on that? And it's like, here you go. And it's like, and it was just stuffing that in my pocket. Like it was
Sean's
crazy.
wad of cash.
Yeah.
With and I was doing. What was I doing on that show? Was I doing GI Joe and what was I doing?
But I want to say too, like, we're not vendors. Like, I feel bad for vendors because they do need to make money, right? So that's why their prices are the way they are.
Right.
I was flexible because it was my collection. So yeah,
it's a different story. You're right. If it's your own collection, something you've had for a while, versus something that you've purchased to try and turn over, that's a different story. And I totally respect what the both of you are saying. If this is something you've had most of your life, or stuff that you've had for a while, and you just need to move on from it, you're gonna beat everyone else's prices. However, if this is a collection that you picked up at a garage sale or a yard sale or an estate sale, that you actually have something vested in it that's recent, you're going to be careful of some of those prices. But my question is now, Sean, what is a fully boxed G1 Optimus Prime going for? Because I would love to get my hands on one. Like with hands and everything. Like, is that like a $500 toy?
Yeah, I usually see them for $350. I don't know what they are on eBay right now, but when I go to like stores and stuff, they're about that.
Right.
So yeah, and the boxes aren't the greatest condition.
Obviously.
Mine's pretty good. But sometimes, like, where you open it up, there's some ripping around it.
Okay.
I'm always fine with that because as long as it has all the stuff, including that red flap that you put on the back, I'm fine with all that. But yeah, I see about $350 around there. So yeah,
I think like there is a toy show coming up in Feb. It's that normal, the one that's they usually do the toy show and comic show at the same time.
Oh yeah, no, I know.
At the Hilton in Mississauga.
Yeah, that's So that's the one that we go to.
We usually go to the. I want to go to both this time because I do.
We did go to both last time.
The toys still have comics.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Are you saying you want the toy show and the comic show, or just? Oh yeah. We can go to the toy show. If you pay, if you pay for the toy show, you get entrance to the toy and the comic show.
Okay,
that's $20.
And it's more. Is the toy show more?
It's $20.
Oh, okay. I'll think
about it. It's either sorry. Early bird is $20. It's $10 for the toy show and the thing, but then you have to wait till noon or something.
No.
But early bird, there's no early bird for the toy show. For the comic show, the comic show is just $5.
Okay.
And I only care about comic books.
Yeah.
So that's the first one where I saw Chris's, or you saw my video and then I don't remember, but that was this was like last year, right? Oh, right. Hey, Professor Bill, we were just talking about you, buddy.
Hey, man.
Hey.
So I have another question. It's a quick one.
Quick one.
Hulk 180 or Hulk 181? Which is the first appearance of Wolverine?
I'm not answering that question. I don't know.
This is a very Veronica question. So yeah.
Yeah, no. It's it's such a wide debate. However, the cover of 181 dominates everything else.
Yeah, I guess because it's first cover, right? So
first cover. But it's the same thing. Like even Todd McFarlane weighed in on Venom with $299 versus ASM 300, and he says it's $299. That's what he feels, because there's a full splash page in the back where he literally says his name Venom to MJ, because Venom says, or pardon me, I believe MJ says your breathing is way different, or your breathing is off, and he says, "Hi, beautiful," and then starts to smile, and in the reflection she says, "Oh no," and then he says, "I'm Venom," and then the next issue is obviously the one with the big sexy cover, that everyone identifies as the first appearance of Venom. But you know, Todd's weighed in on it. I can't remember what Stan said, but the debate between cameo and first appearance just.
Professor
the way what I look at is Cameo is a band from the 80s, so
Professor Bill has spoken. That is it. It's done. Professor Bill has.
And it's funny. I find $299 is only now getting hot, and it's like, well, it's been how many years? Like you guys just discovered that he's in this too,
So
that's a lot of that McFarlane run is starting to get the off issues are starting to get some respect now. Like 298, that wonderful Chance cover, and then 301, the white version of 300. That's now starting to pick up some steam as well. But as someone that enjoyed that era thoroughly, and the writing that McLeany was doing along with the artwork that Todd did, and changing MJ's look and the whole spaghetti webbing thing. That was a good time to be into Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah, like I have all newsstand editions of all that stuff because of course
That's
you're
a
a kid and
question.
you're buying them at
Ask
convenience
that
stores,
question.
right?
Newsstand or direct? You know what was funny, Sean? What were you talking about Secret Wars the other day?
Yeah, I've been replacing all my newsstand Secret Wars with
I have all direct issues of
direct.
that.
Yeah, but you bought a whole pack of that like years ago, and they were selling all direct sales.
Yeah.
But I bought them as a kid, and they're kid
They're beat up,
condition,
right?
right?
They're
They're crap.
So
So I'm rebuying them now. So yeah.
This is the other thing that's crazy. I bought all the Secret, including Secret, whatever the red one, which is on the shelf there.
Yeah,
I bought 8.
Yeah.
Secret Wars 8 first black costume.
Yeah.
I literally bought that entire pack. And it's funny too, because I was going through my old, so as I said, I was going through all my comics and fixing them up and putting them in better, like more organized. I was organizing my comics. And I paid I think I paid like $20 for all of Secret Wars.
They didn't, yeah.
It still has the sticker on it.
No one cared about
Doctor Doom cover is incredible. Doom versus Beyonder.
Oh,
down on one knee. That's majestic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I still have my cough from friggin' it's been like a month of me coughing.
I could be honest, as a kid that was spending his allowance in the mid 80s to late 80s and walking to a couple different variety stores to get my comic books, I wanted this as a kid. I detested a UPC on there because I felt this was special. This was for comic book readers. People that went out and got comic books got the little Spider-Man logo or the FF or Captain America, whatever they were celebrating in the moment. DC as well. You know, those UPCs, I'm like, this is when parents buy stuff for their kids at the grocery store or something, you know. But yeah, and now looking back, obviously on the secondary market, you want to have those, you want that big shiny UPC code on there versus a direct edition. But I tell you, like as a kid, if I had one of each in my hand, that UPC was going back on the stand or the rack or wherever it was. I wanted that direct edition because I felt it meant something to a comic book reader that you're supporting, the community thoroughly.
Yeah.
Spidey is a murderer.
Yeah.
They Zack Snydered it. No, I'm just joking. I'm not going there. I don't know if any of you guys care about. I don't know if you guys care about, but I got Ghost in the Shell, the whole damn thing, which is like
my God,
a bloody murder weapon. And I am a manga. I got my wife into manga, and then she just like surpassed me. Like she's like, "Oh, I read all of One Piece." I'm like, "You read all 5,000 chapters?" She's like, "Yeah." I'm like, oh, "It's not 5, it's 1,000."
Introduce her to Akira.
Oh yeah, she's read that. Like she's way past. Like I started her like 5 years ago, and then she just went like insane. Like it's like she reads. She went her own way. She went her own way. Just read everything now. But I got this, and she's like, "How come how come I don't have this?" I'm like, "I don't know. You weren't there when I ordered it. Like you should have been." Like, and so I'm showing this because, well, I like it. I did get it. So technically, it is. I think it's a last year release. It's an old comic, but it's a new release of it. But Sean always complains that I rip stuff out of people's hands and stuff, which I do. I have removed things from Sean's person when I want to buy it.
Like, hey,
but
to the cashier.
But what I'm saying is that I'm equal up. Even my wife, I'm like, you're not. I'm taking this. I don't care. It's like collecting. You got to be a collector first, man. That's the thing. It's like you can't mess around.
Ghost in the Shell is incredibly important to the history of our medium. Like Ghost in the Shell, some people consider the greatest anime done, and like personally, Akira is it for me.
Too.
And but left or right doesn't matter. They're both wonderful stories. Yeah. But yeah, it's man, like whatever it takes, like like, good for all the fed. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we because
wait, is that the full compendium or is that just an omnibus? Okay.
So it's 1.5 and 2, and then it doesn't it doesn't have any of the like stuff that he didn't do later on or whatever. But Akira's great too, and I actually took a Japanese course in university, and so I did a paper on Akira and all that, like the
Mhm.
movie. So the thing was that like because I was alone, my father's not in the picture. I don't know who he is. So my father's was never around. And so my nerdiness watching these movies and all this is myself. My mom is like, she likes her stuff, or like she likes black and white classics, which I also like because I grew up watching those. So those are like some of my favorite movies. I like all movies, but I was a self-made person. Like I had to watch things on my own. I had to find things by myself. It was only later on in life where I met people who were like, yeah, okay, I've got like-minded people who like this kind of stuff. So a lot of the stuff I had to go on my own. So me getting comic books, I didn't even know there was a difference between like, oh, going to the shop or getting it from the newsstand. Like I would get the comic wherever I could. I would go to it was
Okay.
like I would go to the convenience store and buy. And then sometimes my granddad would take me everywhere. He was awesome. I'd be like, can you take me to the comic shop? It's like, yeah, like that was like once every 6 months or something, you'd save up and you'd be like, oh, let me save up and go. And then you'd go and try to get back issues of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, right. It wasn't like I could just go get them. Cause like my mom was working all the time and my grandparents, were raising me while she was working. And my
Right.
grandmother, I'm Croatian. It's old school Croatian. She's like,
Mhm.
she stays at home, cooks. Like that's all she does is like cook for you. And it's like, and then my grandfather would be like trying to show me how to do stuff and take me out and do things and whatever. So it's like whenever I'd be like, oh, can you take me? He's like, yeah, okay, let's go. So I didn't even know. And I would see sometimes the comics. I was like, why are the bars on this one and this one has the face? It's like, I don't know. And I didn't even know it was a thing till like way later. So as a kid, I got it how I got it and I read it and I didn't really care. And now I don't know like if it matters or not. Like some people want the direct editions, some people don't. Again, it doesn't matter to me too much if I'm just completing runs. Is there actual difference in like what it's valued or no?
Yeah, generally speaking, depending on the era, because the 70s had basically everything was a UPC, so it's not going to be that particularly special.
Right. Okay.
However, in the 80s, when comic book shops started becoming significantly prevalent in the purchasing of comic books, those were considered the direct edition. And then places like in America, like 7-Eleven, say,
Yeah.
or different chain stores that would sell comic books, they would get the UPC stuff because they had the technology behind them to scan, whereas comic shops did not. These are mom and pop style stores.
Mhm.
So, but the thing is, it was around 83, 84, especially when G.I. Joe started to, when Marvel was publishing G.I. Joe, because G.I. Joe became the number one best-selling comic book for months and months and months on end, bigger than Spider-Man, bigger than Batman, bigger than Superman. Surprise, surprise, everyone, look it up. It was G.I. Joe. And those comic shops obviously didn't have the money to back up and go get a scanning system for their tills. And so the direct edition came that way. So, but because these comic shops were ordering en masse larger amounts of books as opposed to, say, 7-Eleven, because those were franchised, that there was more direct editions being printed by the middle to the early to mid 80s. Like I said, when Transformers and G.I. Joe, when those IPs were landed by Marvel, then it became more prevalent. And so it's just a ratio thing where the secondary market is now paying respect pricing wise to UPC stuff. So that's why, for example, New Mutants 98.
Don't have that one.
The first Deadpool. Yeah. You can find, say, a 9.8 direct edition anywhere between $700 to $1,000, given on the day. If you find one with a UPC, you can look at double that value.
Wow.
Yep. And when it comes to stuff like Miles, the UF4, then we're talking significant greater distance between the two. And it's just, it all depends on, the time when that UPC was printed, how prevalent were comic book shops versus, the normal grocery store, variety store, 7-Eleven type of retailer that were carrying those books. And like I said, around 82, 83, 84, that's when things started to change. and that's when the direct editions start to show up. Yeah.
Yeah. That's fascinating because I always thought it was the opposite way, but like, yeah, the ratio, I didn't think of that.
Yeah. It's just a ratio of the same, like, for example, this book here, just because I have it close by,
right?
This will have the UPC on it as well. And it's just the amount, that was printed. If there was, say, 100,000 of the direct edition, there might be, say, 30 to 40,000 with the UPC. Right. And this was only discovered recently, I would say in the last 10 to 15 years. And then at that point, especially during the COVID bubble that we all witnessed over the last 3 years, where people started paying massive respect to that UPC by putting more money down based on the fact that these were quote unquote shorter printed books.
Right.
You know, and that's right now you have like second and third printings of a book that have, you know, a significantly shorter amount that were printed be potentially worth more than the first printing, which I think is weird. Like, if you getting a third printing is basically, you know, the bronze medal. You missed out the first two times. Now you got this, regardless if it was only 5,000 copies printed, it shouldn't be worth more than the one that kickstarted the whole damn thing.
Right.
But that's a story for another day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like the number 2s that are worth more than number 1s because they were lower ordered. Like for a while, Spawn 2 was overtaking Spawn 1 back in the day, right?
Yeah. But now that Spawn 1 with the UPC, my God.
Yes.
And I would have had the, you know what? I don't know which one I have now. Probably not UPC, but I did have the UPC. When I became a douchebag and sold my Image comics, I sold my Spawn run, which was 1 to 50. I got 1 to 30 back, and now I've got 300 and on. I don't know what they were, but I remember I bought them all from this was me going to the grocery store. But when Image came out, though, that is when I was old enough to, you know, take the bus to the comic shops.
Right.
And I just basically told the comic shop owner, I want everything that has Image on it. Just buy it. I want them all. My whole list was all Image. I
want to pay $300 a month minimum. No.
I'm gonna say this. Okay. It's been over 2 hours. We're gonna have to end this in a couple minutes. I just want to say this, and I'll let you guys talk about your channels a little bit before we go. I can't believe this is 2 hours already. I'm stunned. I'm just looking at the time like, holy shit. But when this is so crazy. The comic shop, I was going every week. I was dropping at least 100, and I was going to university and working at the time. And I did my schedule where all my university was done Monday to Wednesday. Thursday to Friday, I had a job, and weekends were free. So Friday, I would drive home with paycheck in hand, drive to the comic shop, buy every damn thing you could possibly buy, and then come back. And then that's why toys, book, comics, everything. It was so crazy. I would walk in, and the comic shop owner would have the previews catalog waiting for me with pages marked of things that he thinks that I would want. And then it was so crazy. I would buy him Christmas presents. I would buy the comic shop owner Christmas presents because it's like, you know, we're buddies. And it is so fun. And people are like, this is crazy. I don't even buy Sean a Christmas present, and I've known him for 20 years. Have we been friends for 20 years, Sean?
20 years, yeah.
I bought you, what, 2 Christmas presents? I have friends of 20 years, and I was buying the comic shop owner a Christmas present. I wasn't buying, because I don't buy presents for people, but I'm like, man, I see this guy every week. We talk for a while. I'm like, I feel like I should get something for this.
Yeah,
that's how crazy it was back in it. Now it's like I kind of go there and I look for things to buy because I want to support the shop, as opposed to like, am I really excited to get this? Which is not a great state to be in, which we can talk about maybe another time. But we used to do a thing, and we might go back to this too, because Sean and I used to do a stream where we'd go through the 90s comics. So you go to Mike's, do you know Mike's Amazing World of Comics? Have you seen that website?
No.
Oh, I'm so happy you said that, because everyone I've asked knows it. And then I want to tell somebody about it so badly that doesn't know. It's a website that this guy has every comic when it was published. And you can sort by publication day. You can sort by street, like the name, like the date on the comic, and it's every publisher, and it's like just a list of everything. And he's got all the covers. It's every single and he's gone. I don't know how far back it goes,
It's
So
fun to look at, like, it's like look at
Yeah.
your birth date, for example, and see all the
and see
comics that
everything came out on your
and-
birthday.
Yeah.
I went, and the final thing I ever got signed by Stan Lee was I just had this premonition come over me. I'm like, well, obviously my favorite superhero of all is the Amazing Spider-Man. And I thought, well, wouldn't it be cool to go get myself a high grade, nice copy of the Amazing Spider-Man that was released for my birth month, so September 74. So I went out and got myself a nice 8.5. And then Stan Lee was making his final appearance at Fan Expo in Toronto a few years ago before he passed away. And I thought, this will be one of those books I think I'm going to crack open. I get Stan aside. And sure enough, I do have my birth month Spider-Man book. Now, the street date, I don't know. However, the cover date is September 74. And that's good enough for me at this point. But I get it. And I spent so much money at my LCS. He actually gave me a Christmas gift this year. So
that's awesome.
Gave me a Something's Killing the Children t-shirt because he knows how much I love that series.
And I posted in the chat for you guys. But yeah, this is it. So you go to newsstand, you can show all publishers on sale, cover date. So
very cool.
You could go. So I'm August 77. And you can sort whatever you can say exclude variants, whatever. So you say just click on that, and here's everything that came out.
Very cool. One thing I did want to touch on, Jay, before we wrap it up is Comic Book University professor said, I think that was the last time a war book did as well. The Nom Sergeant Rock Howling Avenger didn't even do close to that well. But yeah, I gotta spotlight what he said right here. The Nom. This was so good. This is such an important book to the history of comic books. This really exposed a new generation to the horrors that generally most American soldiers dealt with in Vietnam during the late 60s. This was a terrific read. I remember picking up issues of this and it being so over my head, and then going back when I was in high school, because the Nom came out basically when I was in middle school. But going back grade 10, grade 11, picking up the issues I already had of the Nom and going through it, and like there's no characters that last forever in this because soldiers die. And this is such an important such an important book to the history of comic books. And it's one of these titles from the 80s that's often forgotten about because superheroes were so prevalent. Right. But the Nom was terrific, and the artwork was terrific. And it really exposed, the horrors of war as far as it can go, because they were stuck with that bloody Comics Code Authority shield. Right. It's right there. You can see it right there. And if they would have, I would love to see Marvel redo this book without that now, and show the true graphicness of what this story tried to tell, or that large series tried to tell. And it's just terrific. It was just terrific storytelling. Again, it's just one of those titles that's forgotten about, behind behind the shadow of superheroes, like I said, the Death of Kraven's story, the Dark Knight Returns, and the Killing Joke, and all those magnificent stories that the 80s rolled out and introduced that everyone's always thinks of when they think of the 80s. But there are those smaller not indie, but those smaller books that are not superhero that were still done by the two big publishers that were magnificent. Yeah. And so I just want to say thanks, man, Professor, for bringing that up. It's been a while since I thought about the comic book The Nom, but that is another book that should be some required reading for everyone that enjoyed Marvel comic books during the 1980s.
Yeah,
I never got into those.
I have a few Nom because I remember being enticed by the covers for those.
Yeah, they were really good.
And being like, oh, this is adult stuff, right?
Yeah.
That and Semper Fi was the other one.
Semper Fi was good too.
Yeah. I have the first 10 issues of Semper Fi.
Yeah.
And I remember them being like, this is for the big boys,
Yep.
But it was mature storytelling. It was pretty good. Yeah.
And the cool thing I can remember looking back at it now, and like I said, revisiting it in my later teen years when I was in high school, there's no racism in it. It's
Yeah.
just
Right.
us versus them, like American or American soldiers versus communism. That's all
Yeah.
it was. And it
Yeah.
wasn't even propaganda. It was just storytelling straight up.
Oh, yeah.
And it was cool.
It's
It
cool
was a
that
cool
Marvel.
book.
Yeah, it's cool
Yeah.
that Marvel did that at the time because everything was just Marvel Universe stuff.
Yep.
And then they did this, and it's like, oh, that's a nice. Who wrote the Nom? It wasn't Larry Hama, was it?
I'm not sure if Leary. No, it wasn't one writer that did the entire series.
Okay,
There were small arcs that wouldn't even necessarily go past 3 issues.
Yeah.
So they it was an introduction. It was pretty an introduction comic book to a lot of new writers.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
or writers that would have a large load. I always hope that like John Byrne or Claremont would have put their hands into it, and I don't think they ever did. But I don't remember a big sexy writer handling it. I remember when Larry Hama went over to G.I. Joe and then took over and ran the the gauntlet with that. But I can't remember if he dabbled into the Nam itself or not.
So
those covers were so enticing.
I'm looking it up right now. So Doug Murray was initially the writer, illustrated by Michael Golden, and then edited by Larry Hama.
Okay.
Published by Marvel, right, for 7 years, beginning blah blah blah, and then I guess it got changed. Then I mean, you can go and read the publication history on Wikipedia from that point on. I was like, well, Chris, I had the same experience where like, oh, this looks good, but I'm like, I can't figure it out. It's like same with Alan Moore Swamp Thing. Like that's just like I don't go with
you're 10 and you're like
right that's what I'm saying, right? I'm like what is this? Like I just want Swamp Thing. I love the movies. I just want Swamp Thing beating up people. Like why is this so that's a come back to it thing. And I never went back to the Nun because honestly I didn't even really think about I didn't even think about it.
Again, it's just not a sexy title. Alan Moore Swamp Thing is arguably the most consistent, best storytelling of the 1980s. We got John Constantine out of that magnificent run. The whole idea of environmentalism didn't exist in the 80s, but it existed in Swamp Thing. Let me tell you, it existed in Swamp Thing. But a lot of that stuff that Alan Moore was touching during those days was turning to gold later in our own lives because he was light years ahead. Like he was writing for 30 and 40-year-olds, but they were selling it to 15 and 16-year-olds. And that was a lot of the problems until Watchmen came along. And Alan Moore's Watchmen was a game changer. Again, a superhero story that's not really superheroes. This is just like good people or bad people pretending to be good people, and the government, Richard Nixon elected 3 times. Like
that's all. See, so that again, it's like, well, I don't even understand what that means. I'm Canadian. I don't even know my own politics in Canada. It's like forget about somewhere else. It's like Nixon. I was like, yeah, I heard of that guy. Like, I don't care. It's like, oh, he was elected. Okay, I didn't even realize like that. I didn't even realize that the joke of that. Until later on, you're like,
well, I knew the 2-term thing. It's like,
no, I didn't know that. And then it's like, and
that he didn't resign or he didn't go out as a disgrace.
Well, that's because comedian killed Woodward and Bernstein. So
you got it.
This is all like I have the original issues of Watchmen because my buddy bought all of it. He's like, what is this? It's like, I don't know. He's like, do you want it? I'm like, sure, I'll take it. And so I've got those issues, right? Mm-hmm. And I've kept them. So it's like same thing. You go back to, you're like, wow, this is amazing. Like you remember thinking like, this is kind of slow. I don't get what's going on. Sean, you're right. The ending's like, why is there a squid? What is this? Like,
well, I'm okay. Well, yeah.
I mean,
I'm not going to get into my problems.
No, we're not, because I gotta. This is gonna be too long now. I can't.
Let's see the professor's quoting Leonard Skinner, but there was the thing about Watchmen for me is there's so many one-liners or certain things that just carry on. Like we can talk about that incredible line where Rorschach says, "And I whisper no." That's just just a few words that just transcend, Watchmen. There's a handful of that kind of thing, and that just goes to show the strength of Alan Moore's writing. Same thing with the Killing Joke. Like I can quote the Killing Joke. I can quote the joke at the end of the Killing Joke, just because so much stuff that Alan Moore did just transcended the medium that he was presenting it in. Again, Rorschach, you know, where they're screaming for help, and he looks down and I will whisper no.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, thank God Zack Snyder didn't change that.
Yeah. Yeah, he was well. I don't want to get into Zack Snyder because that'll literally go on forever. Because I've already argued with people and I get in fights all the time, and I win those fights.
Just the movie.
I win those fights because I've seen every Zack Snyder movie in the theater. I own every Zack Snyder movie, including that Owl movie. I have all the books for all of his movies, all the art books, and I have a Sucker Punch poster right here, and I have a second Sucker Punch poster over there. And I like Sucker Punch. Everyone hates that movie. But I'm the biggest Zack Snyder fan of all times, and then I trash his superhero movies except for 300 and Watchmen, but I trash all the Superman stuff. But I don't want to get into it now. We always get into it on my stream. We usually have a countdown. It's like, when is J-Man going to get pissed off over Zack Snyder's Superman? And it's at 2 hours and 20 minutes, but we already talked about it earlier, so it doesn't really count at this point. All right, so Sean, go ahead. I'll put you at the forefront, just quick, because I never let you do this, and it's really I should let you do it. Go.
So Decepticon77, go subscribe if you haven't already. I put up all sorts of stuff like book and record sets, comic reviews. I haven't done movie reviews in a while, but I will because I love B movies. So I'm gonna do a lot of B movies this year, like Santo and Paul Nashi, stuff like that. So it's a grab bag of retro fun. So if you're interested, and I do a lot of comic stuff on there right now, so go ahead and check that out. And good. That's all I gotta say.
All right, yes, and we're gonna be doing the verses. We're gonna be doing the verses. The first we're doing the male fantasy verses, so that's gonna be like Hercules with Lou Ferrigno and all that stuff. So we're doing that tournament. Then we're doing the female tournament with Red Sonja and Thundra. Or Tundra and what's it called?
Hundra, yeah.
Hundra, sorry, Hundra. Sorry,
yeah,
Hundra. She. We're gonna do she. All that stuff. So that is
she for the whole movie.
Yeah. All right, Chris, go for it.
Let's see. What do I got coming up? Tomorrow I should be dropping a new Two Cool Guys, Two Hot Picks. Again, the only show on YouTube where two second-generation comic book readers present to you what we feel you may want to consider picking up for New Comic Book Day. Monday, I'll be opening a mystery box from Boxed Heroes that they put out for Black Friday, where I have an opportunity to win an ASM 129. Did I get it? Tune in. A regular thing that I have on my channel is every Wednesday I have a New Comic Book Day hangout. It's an open invitation. We call it Show Us What You Got. Come on out and show us the books that you picked up and the books that you're looking forward to reading. And I generally once or twice or 3 times a month drop a Walmart video where I open up some of those sexy packs of Marvel and DC, if I'm lucky enough to find them at Walmart, if they're not sold out, and open them up and let people know what they're worth and what they've been going for recently on eBay. Thanks, Jay.
All right. Well, you're doing a public service for those Walmart books because I see them all the time and I want to buy them. And I was like, you know what? I'll see what Chris pulls. And then I literally do that. I'm like, what did Chris get on these?
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'm like, that was a good one. And then sometimes like, oh man, that was like not good.
Yeah.
So I'm like, damn it. If the hit ratio is too off for me, I'm like, it's gotta be, I think it's like 50-50. Sometimes like, oh damn, that was really good. And sometimes like, oh no, I don't.
No one buys them. I find no one really, because they're at the bottom there and it's hard to even see them.
It's hard at my Walmart to find them.
It's funny you say that, but 90% of the comments. So I always invite everyone, especially when I open Walmart packs, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Like, what was the big hit that you liked, or what was the best cover? Because often there'll be a second printing or a ratio book tossed in there, and those may not hold value, or they may have some incredible value. But the one constant that's always there, especially from those that are south of the border in the United States, is I can't find them.
Wow.
Where are you finding these?
Yeah.
And my answer is generally always the same. That's why, like, in some videos, I actually show myself like walking up to and then flipping through what's available. It's just in American Walmarts, they're kept near the front where the big collection of cash registers are.
Yeah.
But whereas here in Canada, they are in the toy section.
Right.
And it depends, like your region. Sometimes the DC books are more prevalent. Sometimes the Marvel books are more prevalent. But it all depends. If you've gone to your Walmart and you've never seen them there, chances are they're never going to show up.
Yeah.
You have to go to a different Walmart that may have had it in the past. And the best luck for those of you that are interested, I find them on the weekends. That may sound strange, but Saturday or Sunday mornings, when I hit those Walmarts, that's when the largest stack of them is. And
Right.
here in Canada, at least in southwestern Ontario, outside GT and outside GTA, it's the Marvel stuff that's the most prevalent right now. The DC stuff is hard to find. Give it a couple of months, it might be the other way around.
Yeah.
But yeah, the biggest comments I get is, I can't find them.
Yeah.
I can find them.
I find them, and sometimes they're overflowing and go onto the floor. So,
Yep.
And I'm not joking.
I've seen that.
That's the problem I see.
So Bill,
yeah.
hold on one second. Bill,
Yeah.
it's pinned. His channel link is pinned, but I just put the link again. So it should be pinned on actually YouTube. I also put Chris's link in. He's going to be added to my list of people who I like. Basically, so I don't know what to say. I was trying to sound smart, but I'm like, if I like someone, I'll put their link. So his link will be in every video I do, unless I do a spicy video where I think people are not going to be happy with me. Then
I don't want to get canceled, man.
Yeah, I won't. Yeah, I try not to use the W word or and I don't talk politics because I know nothing about it. And I don't talk about anything like that. But sometimes I will. Like when I said Namor sucked in Black Panther 2, I stand by that he sucked. And like he sucked bad. I just titled Namor sucks, and I've got like hundreds.
I don't
of
know
views
who
on
you're talking about, but it was Namor that
Yeah,
was in Black Panther.
No, we can't start this. Namor, it's like an entire shelf of Namor stuff. I can't do it.
The one thing I got to say is, right now there's a Submariner Namor limited series that's happening. That's in the future. This is a terrific miniseries. If you haven't been reading it, pick it up. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this whole future set where the world has been washed away because the polar caps have melted. It is pretty original storytelling to have him versus Doctor Doom and Pete Mankind have to pick between the two. Some pretty good storytelling right now. And Marvel has not been doing a lot of good storytelling.
No, they have not. And I've been vocal about it. So sometimes people don't like me. Let's do it, Bill. I know I've been on your channel 1 or 2 times like that, but we will definitely figure something out for all of us to come on. But okay, guys, I do have to get going, but thank you to everyone in the chat. Chris, this was awesome. This was 2.5 hours almost. Wow, that was really fast.
My pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. It's been great.
My pleasure.
This is great.
It was nice. It's nice seeing you guys.
Yeah, we definitely 100% got to do it again.
Absolutely.
For sure, like 100%.
Absolutely.
We could do a movie one too. All right, guys, I will get going. Then I will hopefully see you. It's going to be Wednesday, not Tuesday, for the Women of Wrestling. We got a lot to talk about. Sasha Banks is now in New Japan. Charlotte's got the title. All that stuff. Yeah, all that good stuff. So, all right, guys, take it easy.
Hey friends, you've just been listening to J-Man, and he is the smartest person who ever lived. So make sure you like and subscribe.